Welcome viewers to Heats 8 and 9 of the Club Championship here at Manly 16-foot Skiff Club. As you can see, the boats are slowly getting on the water. We're coming to you live and ad-free today from for the 100th year celebration day for Manly 16-foot Skiff Club. This day, the 25th of February, 100 years ago, they decided Manly Cove was a good spot to put a skiff club, and there she is in all her glory, and there'll be a great little party there tonight. Joining me in commentary, I'm James Beery, by the way. Joining me in commentary is my good mate Paul McKenzie and legend himself, Andrew Dolly Davola. How are you, boys?
Good, mate, good.
G'day, Jimmy. G'day, viewers.
Lovely to be back out here. We've finally got a nice sunny day.
Nor'easter.
Oh, the dream's coming true.
Nor'easter outgoing tide.
Yeah.
Should be a bit of fun.
Yeah,
two races.
Yeah.
2 races, yep. And then race back and everyone pack up and get ready to get your dancing frock on for tonight for the party of all parties at Manly 16-foot Skiff Club.
Yeah, it should be huge, and interesting that it actually fell, today's races fall on the actual day that the club sailed their first race, the 25th of February, 1923.
Good maths there, Dolly.
Good maths. So, it's a lot of work's gone into tonight's festivities, and should be a good evening.
One of the things I've really liked this year that the club's done as well is, you know, as a younger bloke myself, you're learning a lot more about the club and what's happened in the 100 years. Even this week you saw the thing pop up about getting the liquor licence and how that promoted us to eventually winning our first national title, so there was a bit more money and getting a few more people in.
Yeah, that was the great work of Dick Hanlon.
Yeah, it was.
He was instrumental in it.
I've just been really enjoying seeing that kind of thing and learning a bit more about the club myself, where I've sailed, I think, now for over 30 years.
Yep, well, you came right through the junior program all the way through to the seniors, Paulie.
Had a lot of fun learning to sail with my dad, learned a few 4-letter words when I was 6. and then jumped in at Manly Junior when they first started here, so it was a long time ago now, though.
Yeah, great history that, as you say, I've learned a lot over the past year about a lot of the skiff history at the club, and I was a bit of a latecomer to Manly, having sailed 18-foot skiffs, not 16-foot skiffs, but when I did come to Manly, I soon discovered what a great family we've all got involved in.
And if people don't know, Dolly's been pretty instrumental in helping out our juniors over the past, 10 years?
10 years, yeah.
The Manly Juniors, the Manly Junior Club is pretty dominant through the most years, aren't they?
Yeah, we have been. So before that, with Baz looking after the kids, and then myself, we had a pretty good run for probably 20 years.
Yeah.
And the great thing for me, with my 10-year tenure up until now, is seeing some of those kids who, including my own kids, who started out all those years ago, and now they're all sailing skiffs.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that, as we sort of know in this sailing world, it's quite hard to get people to keep on sailing boats once they turn 18, when there's certain pubs and stuff available to you.
Other distractions.
Other activities. Manly's done a great job of feeding it through, and I think it's a full credit to the club in the way they've gone about it.
Yeah, and the club has a new Commodore, which is pretty exciting stuff. Matt Triglaine stood down beginning of this week, and our new Commodore for Manly 16-foot Skiff Club is dual gold medalist Malcolm Page, which I think's a huge coup, and I'm sure all the kids especially will get a huge kick out of that. Mal's very open with all the kids, so it's a pretty big bonus for the club. So welcome Mal to that role as Commodore,
because he's been pushing that sort of experienced people helping out some of the new people in the 16s as well a little bit this year, hasn't he?
Yeah,
and doing some things like that. He's got a lot of experience in this area, and I think it'll be a good way to sort of push things forward even further than we are.
Yeah, and he's not afraid to jump in himself with some of the less experienced guys and pass on some of his wisdom, which I think's a fabulous thing that we're just on our way out to the start line, as we were saying. Short 2 races today, races 8 and 9 of the club championship, and got a lightish sort of nor'easter blowing.
Yeah.
We'll be racing out in the sound. There's the past Commodore there, Matt Trigoyle.
Taking the stick back off Zoe Dransfield for the Nationals.
Yep.
See if they still say as far up the front.
Be nice, Paulie.
Well, she did an amazing job at the Nationals though, Zoe, didn't she? You know, first time sailing one of these boats in a major regatta. Pulled off a few very, very good results. It was very impressive.
What a baptism of fire, though, for Zoe. But, you know, she was up to the task, that's for sure.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, well, Zoe and Tyler and Jessie, you know, they're 3 of the, I still call them kids, young adults they are now, who I coached all the way through, and all 3 of them now, they obviously come from a very good sailing family with John JD being their father, who was also very instrumental in their development, obviously. But yeah, great to see all them moving through and staying at the club, and great examples for the young kids who are still in the juniors to look up to. And there's a lot of others besides them.
Is there a bit of a thing with the juniors too, Dolly? We know you've had a lot to do with them. When you do see the people who possibly 4 or 5 years older, that maybe when you're first crewing in a flying 11, and by the time you're steering one, you're seeing them sailing at 16 and go, say that is achievable. I can go and do this.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of a cycle where we're going to continue to get people coming through.
At the moment, there's a group of kids who've moved, and there's more who are going to move next season from the flying 11s to the 13s.
Yeah.
And I know James knows a few of who I'd be talking about, really, really talented kids, and they're going to move in from the 13 in the future into the 16. And you know, there's a lot of older guys in the 16s who I can see in the next sort of 5 years will be retiring or should retire.
Should have already.
And we're so fortunate to have this next generation moving through who are going to fill that void and ensure that 16s at Manly are going to be super strong with some really talented sailors moving forward.
It's interesting you're taking a few pot shots at the old boys there, Dolly, when the boat that just won the Nationals had 2 blokes over 45 on it, isn't it?
45's not old, mate.
No, but then you have a look at the boat that really, unfortunately, had a bad incident up that last one, and the sheet hand on that, Mackey's 55, isn't he?
Yeah, Mackie, I actually went to high school with Pete Mackie, and he's a bit... He was starting out as I was finishing up, so yeah, I guess he's about 55, mate.
Yeah.
But you know, Mackie's a big, strong boy. He's got a few good years in him, but yeah, we know there's a few guys who are sort of around my age in that 60 bracket who are still sailing, and I'm not sure how many.
Getting a bit long in the tooth.
Yeah, it does get hard.
You gotta find your moment and bail.
Yeah, and you know the level now is extremely high.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm sure they're happy to keep sailing if they're happy to keep making up the numbers. But
well, we have seen a few of the guys that were at the top end stepping back a little bit, like Ant King. He's won a couple of Nationals, decided he could jump back and steer.
Yeah.
Taking a bit of more stress off the boat, off the body.
Yeah.
It's just, you just got to choose when you throw your shoulder out, don't you, Jimmy? And then you
Pretty much. Throw the shoulder. Back that doesn't work.
get a little bit too fat, do you get eased? That's another way to get out of it, isn't it?
That's why you own the boats, Paulie. They can't use that one.
You certainly get more and more of those little niggling injuries and stuff. You know, your back starts to give in, your knees start to give in, and you know, a lot of the sailing guys also played footy as well.
Yeah.
It's a good combo, wasn't it, Dom?
That was a good combination if you pay for it in later life, that's for sure.
Yeah, I always laugh, like, I did a lot of sailing with Evan Beebe, obviously his father Dennis Beebe, quite, famous first grade rugby player, and I used to watch Big Den wander around with the knees buckling, and he's like, your knees will end up like this one day, and I'm like, nah, never, and then mine was starting to slowly seize up, and I'm like, I'll never forget Dennis giving me that speech, so.
Nice.
But yeah, you're out here now, You can see a couple. We've got the Fireball on screen there now. Another young team, who most of them I coached. They're ones to watch. They probably don't have the best boat in the fleet, but I think they're looking to upgrade in the future.
Just
and they're starting to find their feet, which is fantastic. But yeah, just looking at the boats sailing now. When we came round from Middle Harbour to Manly a bit earlier, I was a bit surprised at the breeze strength was up a bit on what we were expecting. And now it seems to have just backed off a little bit. We've got a lot of cloud lurking over Western Sydney. I think that might just be holding it back a bit, but
just stopping that sea breeze building, isn't it?
That's right.
I sort of noticed a cloud out to sea burning off on my way down today. However, looks to have come back a little bit.
Still a bit out there, Paulie.
Those little wispy ones, you want them to start burning off for it really to start smoking, don't you, Dolly?
We do, and with that outgoing tide, it's always nice when the nor'easter pumps and the tide's coming out of Middle Harbour. We get some lump, and the boys behind us can get some great pictures of leaping boats and centreboards showing and stuff. But
and every so often you get one of those cruisers just come around at the right time and just make a wave really stand up for them.
And always at the worst time we went or put a jibe in or something. But, there's the botany crew on screen there. We'd heard a rumour that Ryan Thomas had cut or broken a finger, but we see he's on board, so they've got their regular lineup. Coming in behind him is the big contenders. Paulie, what do you want to tell us about your old mates on the Moonin?
Well, I can tell you last week they had a good win, I believe, by about 2 minutes. And I had a good chat to Matty Stenner yesterday, and he said they went back to the old Sutek ways of having a couple of schooners before the race.
Right.
So I think they may have had a quick visit to Wharf Bar for a pizza and a schooner today, so we'll just see how they go.
See how that pre-race preparation works out for them.
Just relax them a little bit, you know. Don't let them get too far in their head. Nor'easters, they're bread and butter, this kind of thing, so it'll be interesting to see how they go.
Yeah, it is. Ruffy knows his way around that northeast track.
And it'll probably be a downwind finish for this first one too, and we know they've got a bit of speed downhill.
Most definitely.
Just had a look at the back of the start boat. Got an L3 for the 16-foot skiffs, so leeward finish, 3 laps.
Yep.
And
030
L2 for the 13s and a 030. And there's red pumps with Bruce Savage, Greg Wingdust and Jay Harris there on screen.
So there's still enough pressure there for them to be fully stretched out, isn't there, Jimmy? Like, there's not going to be any bending in these conditions.
We don't bend, Paulie.
No, we don't bend. Crews bend. But I think it's a really nice way to breeze here.
Yeah, on screen there is my son Will on the Employment Hero with Alistair Hunter and George Thompson. More young blokes who've come through the Manly Junior program and are finding their feet in the 16-footers.
Should be look pretty stretched out there. Could do a little bit more vang there, couldn't they, Dolly?
They are very light, those boys.
Well, your son's 6'5", isn't he?
Yeah, but he only weighs about 60 kilos, so he's a bit of a trim one like his old man.
And doesn't hike like his old man.
It's the last of the straight backs, as we used to say. But they're starting to find their feet and really enjoying their sailing this year. They're three good mates.
Because Will went and spun some cars around earlier in the season, didn't he? In the US
he spent a bit of time in America doing some motor racing. He's pretty keen to get back, but I'm happy to report that speaking to him, he's already talking about next summer sailing. So
that's good to hear.
Very good.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Who have we got there? There's the IME, Sarah Lee on the helm again today.
Pretty good fill-in to have. I think she might be sailing the rest of the year with the boys.
Yeah, and given this condition too, Paulie, I think...
you got the little jockey on the back. It's pretty good, isn't it?
And 2 pretty handy blokes in front of her in Trent Barnabas and the great forward hand Mr. Napper, Rob Napper.
Yeah, I've sailed with Sarah a few times when she was back when she had her own boat. I filled in a couple of times. She's a very good skipper. Very, very natural feel through a boat, like in terms of knowing when to go for speed and things like that. She's very, very enjoyable to sail with.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed when she sold a boat and stopped sailing, and I thought that she might be lost to us. But she's done quite a lot of sailing this year, and hopefully we're going to see more of that. I wouldn't be surprised if someone puts their hand up to give her a full-time ride next year.
Yeah. I think she's definitely one of the top skippers if you needed a gun for hire.
Most definitely, and you know, we've got a number of girls sailing here at Manly, as we've talked about in the past, and they can hold their own against the best of the boys, which just absolutely fantastic for sailing.
And sort of about 10 minutes to the start, should we have a bit of a look at the overall club championship standings at this point in time? Get them up on the screen in a sec. There's a mighty typhoon.
Got big Brett Davis back on the boat today, the rooster, which is good.
Yeah, so their national title combination from last year.
Yeah,
there's the points up on the screen. So Moon and Yachts out in front on 4 points. Then Red Pumps Red on 9. Typhoon 9.3. Sail Racing 10. Botany Access Red Pumps and so on. There's a few, like I know the Army boys would be disappointed where they're sitting on that score sheet, but
I think because they changed boats as well.
Yeah.
So they're only on.
Yeah. No, that all happens, but
it's an interesting point score though, isn't it, Jimmy? Because you notice there was the average points for the Typhoon. So if they get a few good results, then it actually impacts their results even more so, doesn't it?
Oh, just another thing that
it just makes
Ed's the owner of the winning boat.
I'm sure Ed's done the maths, told them what they've got to do.
Yeah, but
I think those blokes are smart enough to do it themselves without Ed's input.
In the minor placings, very, very close on points. It's sort of all to play for. Two races today. After today, we're going to have a drop in play as well.
I think those numbers already had a drop in.
They had a drop in them, did they?
Yeah.
Well, they shouldn't have technically.
They shouldn't have.
No.
But because I saw Ruffy on 4 and he had 2 2s and 2 1s.
Ah, yes. You had your shoes off. Again, Foley.
Yeah.
So lucky Paulie wears thongs everywhere.
Got red Pumps Red on screen there. Tyler Dransfield and Chris Williams and Tyler Dransfield, Chris Williams and Jackson Cranfield.
Say that 3 times fast, Al.
There's a lot of fields in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Very disappointing nationals for those guys.
Yeah, it was. I don't know, after being the reigning state champions, I don't know whether they might have maybe put a bit too much pressure on themselves for the nationals.
Well, they did so well in that invitation race as well, pulling out after the first lap whilst leading.
Yeah.
They look like the boat to beat early, didn't they? I mean, it's a different thing. We know from experience ourselves that you get yourself a bit G'd up for those kind of things, and actually being able to stay calm and being able to just go through your processes. And if you do get a bit deep, just go back to what you know to work your way through.
Yeah, the wheels can fall off pretty quickly, and then
and then you start trying to change settings and look for things that aren't really there, and you end up actually pushing yourself further backwards in those situations.
Chasing your tail.
Well, that's Roxburgh's with Andrew St John in the middle there on the contemporary pools.
Almost the first bird on the water today. Could have been a first for Saint.
Yeah, if they hadn't taken so long putting their rudder on, they would have been first out. But
I mean, this day suits Saint. He's going to get to stretch out a little bit. Sort of short course racing he's really built for.
Yes.
Built for speed, Saint is. Last seen hanging out on the wing playing rugby. The number 2 on his back. I couldn't figure it out. Is he still
running around up? He was playing for Forest.
Yeah, he was playing for Forest, but he's long time put the cue in the rack.
Yeah, Saints carrying some pretty serious injuries now from paying the price of all those years playing footy.
Putting his head in scrums all day.
He had a bit of Phil Kearns about him though, didn't he? He liked hanging out in the wing late for that miracle ball.
Yeah, I went up and watched him one day. He literally ran out of the sheds. He got to the sideline. He was standing there huffing and puffing, and then kick-off happened, and he just waited for the play to come back to him. I was like, "Come on, mate, you got to be better than that."
Mate, 5th grade subbies, you can sort of do what you want, though, can't you?
There's Nick Connor, Alex giving us a big wave from the Cunninghams there. The boys are in great, with Childsy. The boys are in really good form at the moment too.
Yeah.
And one thing I see is they are loving their sailing.
Well, they're enjoying it.
They're really enjoying it, and I think that vibe is carrying through to how they're sailing the boat and their results. You know, they're really.
And last week, sending it with the big rig.
Yeah.
First big rig in, still getting a 3 in some testing conditions. I mean, everybody saw that Sail GP last week. They were out here on the 16th as well at this end of the harbour, and a big rig in those conditions is a little bit scary.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be rivaling the young Sutek boys for the happiest boat out on the water, I think. You know, we always say that they're always having a laugh. Those boys, I think, are giving them a red hot go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're really enjoying their sailing. They seem really happy as a team, and they came together this year as a new combination.
All they had to do was snap a mast, and then the thing took off too, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunate for them at the Nationals. We're just going into sequence there.
There's 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
So if you have a look down this line, Dole, what are you sort of having to think about?
The line looks very short, Paulie, for one.
That was my first thought.
Very short.
What you're saying is you want to be on row A.
Yeah.
You definitely want to be in row A. Now, also, we've got a blue mark right in the middle of the line, which is
13s.
for the 13 start.
And the finish for the 16s.
Okay, so that's going to be a nice obstacle in the middle of the line as well. But yeah, Paulie, I think we agree that's a very short line.
I think it's just going to be about clear air.
Yeah, boat favoured at the moment.
Well, the breeze is building across the course.
Yeah, it's just
come up a few knots in the last couple of minutes.
Not on screen, but we're just looking up the course. I think there's going to be a few people pushing it to get down to the start line in time.
Yes.
St Jordan.
And I mean, it's a bit of a strange one coming out of here. You know, at Manly we're used to a classic nor'easter sailing out of Balmoral, aren't we? And we all know the track to get out of there. You never really end up down in this corner, do you, Dolly?
Yeah, that's right. We're almost on a starboard lay here across to the Bombora.
Yeah.
Whereas with that Balmoral start, you've got to get yourself out of Balmoral and then work your way up that Bombora shore.
It's a lot more like what the courses they were sailing at the Nationals, so they've had a few cracks at it recently.
Indeed, yeah. And look, with the outgoing tide, it's going to be carrying them up course towards the Bombora.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if off this start, you know, they'll get to the other side. They'll only be a couple of 100 metres below the Bombora marks, and then everyone will be lamping onto port.
Yeah.
And
doing a few quick little digs up that shore and then trying to get back across.
Let's hope we see a bit of chaos.
Well, 030 should have them almost going into little, like, to the old gasworks.
Yeah. Right of Kilburn Towers. I can't see a mark myself. Or is that a mark just off the gasworks there, Jimmy, that you can see? Between that big cruiser, maybe?
Yeah.
My old eyes aren't so great.
I always think it's a little bit interesting, though, starting down in this corner with the outgoing tide, because when you do have the tidal advantage down here, it is lumpier.
Yes.
So sometimes it can be a race to get to that flat water in the left.
Just looking out my window, the skipper on Musto is not Hugh Studder today, but JD.
That's right. I did know that. I should have told you boys.
So
Sorry.
the full Dransfield.
I don't think Zoe's out here, is she?
We'll find her and get her out here. So how are you guys liking the look of here?
Oh, the commentator's curse, Jimmy.
Come on.
I think the Typhoon's going to be hard to stop today with Brett back on the boat. They know all their systems on that, but I think it could be a bit of a shootout between him and the Mooner today. Both of them are going to be pushing hard. I had a good chat to Matty yesterday. He says Gus has found his groove again and to watch out. So I think it's those two who I'm looking at.
Yeah, I tend to agree, Paulie, but seeing we don't want to be on the same page, and we were just talking about Sarah on the IME, I'll throw Sarah in the mix for today.
I like them for the second one. Trent's fitness coming into play.
Yeah.
Well, Treno's sailing the Shore and Partners 18-foot skiff with Davey O'Connor for the JJs.
Interesting.
And the replacement for Ricky Bridge that got very seriously injured 2 weeks ago is none other than James Doran, who's jumping in on the sheet there.
Salim. So we're about to go Imey might be over there, I
They
think.
pushed that one, didn't
They
they?
did.
I think the starters look the other way.
I think that's a great start from the Imey. Cunningham's on top though, showing good speed there.
And height. Yep.
Yeah. And the Moonin just having to try and foot off below to try and clear their air.
So there we are looking from the windward end now. We've got Capital Brewing just trying to hold some height above Cunningham's. Imey to leeward. Employment Hero. Botany Access got off the line nicely, Paul.
Yeah, lovely down there.
Yep.
I think you can just see there the guys who just didn't quite get to that front row are just getting spat out a little bit out the back there, aren't they?
Yeah, Sutek and Southerly have been forced to tack out, clear their air. Red Pumps.
Both red pumps are looking really nice there, aren't they?
Yeah. Main player Red Pumps, Bruce Savage, stepping out really nicely there, but I think he might be sailing a low groove and going fast, Paul.
To be fair, it just looks like this breeze is bending towards the left as they come across here. They're just starting to clock all down into each other, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I was talking before about them getting pulled up to the Bombora here, and they are lower than what we'd expected, aren't they?
Yeah. Just at the top of the screen, the Moon has just gone into a high groove to try and clear their air. Really didn't want to tack out. So they took a bit of punishment. Now they're starting to get a bit of clear air back there, trying to work their way back into this.
Yeah, we'll call that. I won't call it a bad start. I'll call it a conservative start.
I'll call it actually a good start for Ruffy, but
yeah, but he's starting to claw his way back. Cunningham's managing to advance over not just Imey, but the majority of the boats here.
They're showing some really good speed up there, aren't they?
Just showing what a great judge of boats and sailors I am. They're going to come out of this first work if they don't mount this houseboat, which is just coming into screen there now, folks. The houseboat's wound.
Nick could sell that houseboat.
The houseboat's wound the wheel and taken evasive action just in the nick of time.
It's but as they come up into this corner, Dolly, it's always a bit of a gamble, isn't it? Where you can't see the wind coming over the hill, and if you commit too far, you can get a little bit stuck. But if you go too early and someone pushes in, they get that nice high line if they get it.
That's right. You get in that little bit too far too, and it gets very, very patchy.
And if you go too early, you don't get the bend round the point.
That's right.
You'll see some skiffs running down with spinnakers there from Middle Harbour Middle Harbour Skiff Club. They got their old Buffers Day on today.
Buffers Day today, yeah.
So just we're doing our best to try and avoid them with a bit of rust on.
I think they like to have a few schooners before the old Buffer Day sometime as well, don't they?
I may have even made an appearance there if I wasn't out here with you blokes today.
Keeping you sane, Dol.
I really like the Red Pumps position actually here on screen at the moment. They're pushing hard into this left corner, and it looks like there's a bit of pressure pushing around the point for them.
He's going to come out on port though with no rights here though, Paulie.
And the Typhoon seems to have snagged them there, haven't they?
They've
right
just
in their face.
Slapped one on them. And I think we'll see Cunningham's tack in a second here just to keep a loose cover on these guys. Although they're happy there's a bit of pressure. Here they go now. With Red Pumps, Red carrying on a little further so that they're not going to get gassed. Botany Access, they've tacked over. There goes the Red Pumps now. So great overhead shot there. Cunningham's leading the way at this point in time.
It's a bit of an interesting point of the course here too. If you've got clear air, you can pick your own lane. You can make a lot of big gains. But if you're struggling to find clear air, you can really get pushed in the wrong direction and approach this point in the wrong way, and it can hurt you significantly.
Yeah, forced to go where you don't want to go just so that you can clear your air.
And I think that's why the Moonin did their little step out earlier, so that they're on opposite tacks to these guys coming in, and they can really pick their spot and dig in a little bit further.
But I'll tell you what, I'd hate to see these blokes on Cunningham's actually put some effort in and did some training.
I think there's a lot of natural talent on that, mate.
They like the social side of the sailing as well.
I mean, I saw Nick running around Manly a couple of years ago trying to get down to the jockey side for these skippers.
Yeah, that worked for him.
Well, I was sitting in the stand whilst that happened, and he did come in and have a schooner with me halfway through the run. So, and here we got the Red Pumps Red. As we were saying before, the race between the Dransfields today should be quite interesting. We know that Musto boat's had a bit of juice on it and can push itself up towards the front.
Yeah, at the moment they're sitting out of shot to leeward of Imey and Red Pumps. Not in a bad position. But yeah, Red Pumps, Red are actually making a little bit of a gain here at the moment. They're flat, getting through the water nicely and out to windward. So they were the last boat to tack onto port. They've got the clearest lane of air with Cunningham's. Typhoon coming back there, you can see now, and Cunningham's has crossed them easily.
Yeah, the guys who went in a little bit further made a few gains there, didn't they, Dolly?
Yeah, they just got that port hand lift, didn't they, Paul?
Yeah, the bend round the point, and then they also get to pick their lovely lane back to this side. And depending on where the top mark is, they might be able to hit this shore and get the compression along it.
There's so many recreational boats up in like Little Manly, it's hard to try and
so
pick. I found the top mark just up here off the club.
So it's bang in the middle of the channel, just west of the ferry lane. So obviously they couldn't drop it up in the ferry lane. They've had to get a little bit left. But the way this breeze is now, that's where it should be, right?
Yeah. Look, I think we're going to see them work this sort of top right shore, western shore up here. You get a nice little compression from it.
Yeah.
And then they'll take a nice dig across the sort of the Kilburn Towers toilet roll building and see if they can set themselves up for lay for there is what we'll expect.
Yeah, so the boats you can see there now, they're on starboard tack and they're coming into this shore, the rocky shore below Dobroyd, Tanya Park.
Come and see if they can pick up some fishermen's lines.
Yes.
Touch the rocks when you jump out of the tack.
But also they're hiding. Not only do you get that bit of a lift that Paulie was talking about on starboard tack off the rocks, but they're also hiding out of that tide for now.
Yeah.
So we've got a bit of tide coming out of North Harbour and Manly Cove. So by sticking in close to the rocks, they're out of the tide and benefiting from the lift as well.
Yeah. You'll see the guys here extend right in close. Cunningham's didn't push it too hard there.
But at high tide, you can basically bounce your bow pole off those rocks.
Yeah.
But if you do run aground in there, don't come and blame me.
Yeah, as far as you dare.
There's a special little one about 9/10 of the way up the shore that I've managed to hit in a flying 11 a couple of times.
Yeah, I was going to say, Paulie, local knowledge really pays through there because there is a couple little solo rocks there that, as the tide drops, they're a bit shallower than centreboard.
Got a cross coming up here between the Cunninghams and the Typhoon. The Cunninghams have still got it, I think, there.
Yeah, they have, but a gain there from Typhoon of probably 30 metres, I'm saying.
Yeah. Not the bloke you want breathing down your neck, is it?
No.
No, and these next few tacks will be really telling. Cunningham's still on port tack, heading over towards the eastern side of the course, and to me it's looking a little softer, whereas we've got Typhoon extending to the western side of the mark, and you can't really see it on screen there, but there's some nice lines of pressure here, isn't there, boys?
Yeah. It's also, when you get up this top end of the course, it's about changing gears on your boat.
Yeah.
Because you can see there's still that top end pressure that's there, but it's the lulls that you've got to get through to get to them. So it's about possibly pushing your board down a tiny bit, softening things up. You might have seen some people quicker down the bottom of the course who had a flatter main, but if you've got a bit more juiced up here, you're going to push through those lulls. So it's a bit of a...
Yeah, it's critical, isn't it? Like, you know, it's the gear changing is, you know, even with your centreboard down, the whole lot, like it all changes.
Because it looks like the Typhoon, as Dolly predicted, has made a good gain there and taken the lead.
Yeah, so they just tacked on. They waited for the pressure. They've tacked onto that pressure. It was not only just more pressure, but it was lifting pressure. So they've managed to cross now, and they are in the lead. But we've still got a few tacks to go before this top mark, and the pressure is in the left. Cunningham's is continuing now. I think he might have learnt from his mistake on that last little exchange.
It's just about joining the dots up here, isn't it? And looking for that hot one out of the right that you can use to take yourself into the mark.
So, yeah, Nick's tacked on Cunningham's, and he hasn't got bad pressure, but he doesn't have a great gust. It's very, very intermittent, patchy up this top end of in Manly Cove.
One thing that I know from when we used to have to sail this course a lot, the centreboard makes a big difference at the top end of this course.
Yeah, a couple of boats with adjustable centreboards too now, Paulie. Both the Red Pumps boats are running adjustable centreboards.
That's just another
Got to know how to use it, though.
too many strings. But it's you know, generally push it down a tiny bit when you get up here to try and stay.
We're going to see a lee bow here, Paulie?
No, they're going to go through
he's going to go through behind.
Being conservative.
Yeah, smart thinking at early stages of the race. I think Nick probably sailed a little too far there and gave away
30 metres or so, didn't he?
Yeah, he should have tacked on their stern there.
It's they've jumped out to a good lead, these two, though, haven't they?
They have, yeah. So we've got Red Pumps. Looks like Red Pumps Red will probably come through in third with a bit of a chasing pack behind them. Nice set from the Typhoon.
Lovely set.
Cunningham's on screen here now. We'll see how the young blokes go.
There's not much water that you've got when you're setting your chute going around here too, and there's a few boats coming into the mark on port.
Yeah.
Can always get a little bit tricky.
Good work from the Cunningham's boys there. They got the kite up quickly and a little late on the pop, but nice and safe and smooth. Now giving chase there on the overhead. You can see from the drone, beautiful shot of the Typhoon.
This top mark's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, Ruffy. Can we see this?
Ruffy.
Wow.
Ruffy.
There might be some screams of protest there, and Moonen has hit the mark as well.
So I think we're going to see Ruffy do a quick spin up here.
Yeah.
Good boys. I think they've pushed it a little bit there, jam it in there. You can't offend
You've got to
people.
keep clear.
They've done really well there. And they've done well too, just to put themselves up to windward a tiny bit with it.
Yeah.
Through their lane.
Some fruity language there that I hope the viewers couldn't hear.
So if we were to just go around that top mark, third was Red Pumps Red, the Imey, Botany Access, the other Red Pumps, Moonen. Chubb's having a really good race. The Fluid up there and the Capital Brewing just taking the low lane down there, pushing through under the Fluid chute right now.
Yeah, super tight in this chasing pack. After Fluid, we've got Southerly and the young boys on Employment Hero, followed by Musto with Joan Dransfield on the helm. He's just going for a jibe set to try and stay out of trouble.
I think, unfortunately for this chasing pack with this gap and them being so close together, I think the rich are going to get richer out front here in clear air.
They are. They're gone, Paulie.
Yeah, they're in full launch mode. I mean, there are a few of these blokes that are pretty slippery sometimes, but that's a nice big gap. And if you're having to fight with other people and get bounced around a little bit, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, on screen, Orange Spinnaker is Imey with Sarah Lee. She had a nice little bit of pressure there and had a nice little gain on her surrounding competitors, but just going a bit more bow up there now as the pressure eases. But
that's sort of the problem where you get that low lane leading across here. Everybody else can jive inside you. If they get that pressure first, they're just going to go bow forward and roll over.
Yeah.
Whereas the Typhoon and the Cunningham's just got to pick wherever they went, pick their own guts and really rip through.
Just went across the front of the fire stopping there, Jimmy. I think they might have missed the start.
Yeah, I've seen them coming down about 2 minutes after the start.
Yeah.
Spots might have words to them this afternoon about that, Jimmy, yeah?
Mate, they're, I'm really happy with those boys this year. You know, like they've stuck at it. They've learnt a lot. They, you know, you got to remember the beginning of the season was like fresh to frightening every day.
Yep.
Those boys just kept getting off the boat with a big smile on their face and going, how do we do that jive? How do we do this tack? How do we, you know, all the different parts? And they've slowly chipped away at it, and they've you know, their goals are starting to be met, which is great. And you know, looking forward to a really good season from those boys next year. You know, after a year of just learning these boats, like as you both know, and everyone that sailed a 16-foot skiff, they're probably one of the hardest skiff boats to sail because of how narrow they are. And you got 3 crew trying to do everything.
And it's a hard school when you come out for a club race and you're sailing against the best skiff sailors in the world and Olympic medalists and
it's a couple of national champions out in this league.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard school. They've made a little mistake today, but they're doing a great job. And Alex and Seb, more youngsters who've come through juniors, and with a trusty, experienced hand of Lockie Pryor, it's been great to give those guys some guidance and learn some lessons. Looking overhead now, we've got from the drone, great shot of the Typhoon.
Can get a little bit lumpy down this end, can't it?
Yeah, it's pretty good though, Paulie, but they've opened up slightly on Cunningham's, but not majorly. But the two of them have opened up on the rest of the fleet.
You can get a bit of backwash off these rocks down here too. You can get a few cross waves.
Yeah, and as we speak, there's some big power boats.
He's left a hole in the ocean, that one.
Yeah, come on, tsunami makers.
And when you get those ones coming through, sometimes you're dropping the chute, gets caught, there's not much you can do about it. I think we saw it happen to the Typhoon in one of the other clubbies, didn't we, where someone unfortunately ran through his mate? Yeah.
Yeah. No names there, Paulie.
Well, I'll say the name, it was our king.
Yeah. Cunningham's decided they were heading for that right-hand mark, and they decided to drop at the last sort of minute, and
I'm pretty certain the Cunningham's boys would be more than happy with second. Like, coming second to the blokes that are in front of you. Like, if you can beat them, even better. But
I don't know. I think Nick's got a bit of a killer instinct in him at the moment. He wants to push forward. Alex doesn't.
Alex wouldn't. He's just like, whatever gets me to the bar quickest.
But yeah, they really put some pressure on Childsy with that jive drop just then. And you're on screen now, we're looking at third and fourth. We've got Botany Access, we've got Moonan coming in on port. None of these boats are laying the mark. They're all going to have to jibe and then jibe drop. Botany with a whole lot on here. They're running very square.
And the red pumps. The Botany did really well there to hold everyone out on starboard though, and managed to just duck away.
Moonan with his slippery downwind speed.
Yeah.
Big Matty Stenner with his banana fingers getting in there, ripping that chute.
Those little arms going hard. And we've got Sarah Lee in Imey and Red Pumps Red. They decided to stay out of trouble and take the left turn.
Tell you what, the fluids come through well there too.
Yeah, showing a bit of pace now.
They did a nice early jive around the top and got that clear air. And instead of fighting with that pack along the shore, just managed to sail as they wished.
Red Pumps, main Red Pumps behind Fluid, followed by Southerly.
I think you want to be taking a right-hand turn at the bottom, going around the left gate when you're here, Dolly.
Yeah, most definitely. Then we've got Chubbs, Employment Hero, have managed to get through Capital Brewing. Altus has just jammed their boat in there. You can see a bit of chaos ensuing at this gate.
On screen there, Alana Clancy, my favourite crew of all time, dropping the chute.
Cost her a nationals.
Her dad tells me every day. Get a text message from Paul, you lost my daughter at nationals. And then the Zutec boys. I'm not sure who's skippering because we know Mikey's having the time of his life over in Mexico playing with the cartels at the moment.
Yeah, we'll try and have a look and see who that is. Looks like it might be a girl, is it?
Is that Zoe?
Is that Zoe? So we did have all the drowned fields out here, possibly.
Yeah, you're right, Jimmy. That's Zoe.
There you go.
So we've got all the Dransfields out here.
Dransfield sort of day.
Bar Bo, and Bo's only about 9 years old, so
and he'll beat the lot of these.
he's going okay in the Manly Juniors, Bowie.
That's some good work there from the Suchek though, getting over the top of the shebang. Really nice work. You can see Ann King there steering from the wire. We haven't seen that in quite a while, have we, Jimmy?
Negative Ghost Rider.
And Alana would be loving it, copying it on the spray up the front of the boat, straight to the face.
Yeah, we'll see how Kingy goes with two club championships on wire.
The problem is that they've set up all these boats now for the skipper to control all the gears. I know when Ed used to sail with Stewie Graham, they actually pulled all those up to the front so Stewie sitting in could do it.
Yeah.
And as we were sort of talking about before, you do have to change. There's a lot of bang work in these boats, especially now with these carbon rigs, for the changing conditions. And also I know a lot of the top guys are popping a bit of bang going into tax, out of tax, pulling it back on after they build their speed and things like that. You're just sort of losing it with the skipper on the wire.
Yeah, I like to steer with the Cunningham in my hand the whole time unpleated.
That's the way it used to be on the LO rigs.
Yeah.
I remember you watch you guys just pull it over your shoulder when you hit the gas.
Yeah. And not only do you get better rig control, but you make your sheet hands' life a whole lot easier. You would have loved a skipper that played the cunno for you, Sausage.
I just like working harder. No, but now I know that, especially, speaking to Ruffy about it, they play the Vang a lot more now.
Yeah.
Because of the carbon rigs, the way they're set up, we used to call the Cunningham the accelerator, didn't we? You just pull it to the floor every gust you got.
Now it's a bit more Vang.
Yeah, now it just seems to be controlling that twist up top.
Yeah.
Is a lot more effectively done with the Vang in these boats.
Yeah, it was interesting we're talking about it. We've got a behind shot of the moon in there now, and we're actually looking at their leech twist profile.
I think they could...
a little bit straighter than I'd expect in the leech there from Ruffy.
Well, I know they like to play a lot of main and really drive off the main, pulling it on.
Yeah.
They don't let the rig do the work. They work hard. Build that speed and then squeeze off the main.
Get into that high mode, which explains that straighter leech rather than head twist.
It's a lot more sort of finer mode to sail. But if you get it right, the thing goes like a rocket ship, and if you get it wrong, you can go backwards pretty quickly. So I think they've made some really nice gains up here, though, the Moonin.
Yeah, Moonin and Botany, both on screen there now.
They were the guys who got to do that left right-hand turn at the bottom.
They've made,
I'd say the Moonin's pushed into third here, wouldn't you, Dolly?
Yes. Yeah.
And it does look like they're eating into the boats in front of them a little bit now as well.
Yeah, so he'll tack and have starboard advantage over Botany, but I think he's advanced enough on him anyway that he'd probably...
We'll see what he can do with a bit of clear air if he can push up to the back of these boats in front of him.
Yeah.
It's always that thing, you can always catch up to the pack in front, but actually passing them is often the hard bit, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can see Typhoon there once again following that that map that we like to say we sail up this left-hand shore. They're staying out of the tide, looking for that lifting starboard tack. They'll push in on these rocks as hard as they can before they tack out of there.
For me as a junior, when we sailed here, we used to open the nor'easter, you'd go around a mark on the Bombora. You just almost tack your way up this shore in front of us.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you could hit that toilet roll, you went across.
Yeah, Flying 11 still follow that track.
Yeah, and it's pretty...
It's written on the back of the shed door, isn't it?
I remember even when I was a youngster coming out here and watching you guys almost sailing around in the thing against the fluid and stuff. It was the fluid in a nor'easter back then, wasn't it? It was almost, they followed the same track every time. And Ant said he used to be able to do it with his eyes closed.
Yeah, well, I think I had like 4 or 5 years just following the fluid in nor'easters. It didn't matter what we did. Like Clint could have a swim.
Yeah.
We get in front of him, and by the time he hit the bottom mark, he's back there in front of you. It was almost like there was 2 fluids.
It was his
his favourite track.
We've got the Cunninghams. You're looking at the Cunninghams there now, and I like what the boys have done. They sailed a little bit further, which gave them more gauge to get further along the rocks, and they've really lined up some nice pressure here. They're just going to tack now because we're starting to lose depth. They don't want to hit the rocks.
Terra firma.
Coming out with a nice bit of pressure, although they are down a bit, but I think they may make it. They're not going to get in front, but they've made a little gain there, I think. Unfortunately, they're going to have to... no, they won't have to dip this middle harbour boat, but they can hold their line.
It's the first time I've gotten to see a bit more of the way that they're sailing the boat. It's really, really nice.
Yeah.
So we've got the Typhoon coming back at them now. They sort of look a bit stalled up over there, don't they?
Just for attack, mate.
Yeah, but the pressure is patchier over there.
They're back up and running now. Jimmy's right.
Yeah. Yeah, they've picked up a bit of a vein of pressure. I mean, those guys should be able to read the breeze by now.
You'd hope so.
And the Cunningham's just got a little bit unlucky there, I think, in their bounce out from the rocks. Just seems like they got a bit more right pressure there.
Yeah, they came in nicely, but came out on a header.
Sometimes you just got to hold a little bit further to catch that one sneaking down the shore.
Yeah, so these Cunninghams have had to tack a little bit earlier just to try and get back to the pressure.
They're just hanging on to the Typhoon. They're keeping of interest in the Cunninghams.
Yeah.
The rubber band's stretching out a tiny bit at the moment. But we'll just see if they can hang in there, because a few good puffs downwind and they can get themselves riding back into this. few yachts coming out of Manly too that might have a little bit of an effect on these guys running down here when you have to dodge them downwind.
Yeah, it could make it interesting. There's a lot of little junior boats, some open skiffs, and a few flying 11s and things getting in amongst the action. But Typhoon managed to find a nice little lane there where they had good height. They didn't have huge pressure, but they had good height, and they've done okay. Nick back onto port tack on Cunningham's there to get themselves up onto the mark along with Typhoon.
I always think in these nor'easters, Dolly, the most important groove you've got to be able to sail is that high squeeze.
Yeah.
Because you always want to get that breeze coming over your shoulder. You know, sometimes in the sou'easters and stuff, it's actually okay to punch low and have a bit of speed. You really want to get into the high groove in this, and really you find that they just link up in a row.
And when you are down pressure, you want to be on the lifting tack.
Yeah.
If you're on the knocking tack on the down pressure.
Unfortunately, that meant sometimes they used to have to bend to have that, Jimmy. It was a bit unfortunate.
Okay, watch how the experts do it here, guys, as they bear away and go for a set. Hopefully I haven't put the curse on them.
Oh,
here we go.
We need a bit of action.
Gee, they're taking it a bit easy this time. Windward set, so they've borne away deep.
And did you see there, they did it nicely, rolled that rig, rolled themselves just into windward.
Yeah.
So the chute gets pulled away from the boat a little bit there as well.
Stays away from the spreaders and anything that it can catch on.
It was quite a nice windward set there.
So, they haven't done as much damage to the Cunninghams as I thought.
No,
those boys
they've done damage though, Jimmy.
Yeah.
They've probably a 50, 75 metre gain in that last bit of the beat from the Bombora, I think.
Yeah. I didn't think it was I thought it would have been a lot more.
I think they're changing gears well, the Typhoon, as they come up the top of this course.
Yeah.
You could still see the Cunninghams up the top here looked a little bit flat in the front of that maid. And they might just try and juice it up a little bit more next time when they get up the top here.
Cunninghams need to use their Cunningham. You'd think they'd know, wouldn't you?
Sometimes they can get a little bit stuck, especially if they've sailed for a little bit.
Every time you look at that mainsail, it's telling you. Surely they know. But once again, I think both Typhoon and Cunninghams have managed to put some distance on the chasing pack.
Yep.
We've got Moonan now in third. They've just put there they are now. They've put a covering tack on Botany to keep them tucked away. And just to the left of the screen, you can't see, you probably will in a moment, we've got Imey. There they are now.
Yep.
The three of those boats are a lot closer than the camera makes it look.
Actually, a good battle. We might run down with these three.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah's probably tacked a little bit late there if she's going to be overlaid, but at least she's going to get in there nice and cleanly, and the boys can be well prepared for the set.
Botany, they're just getting a little bit of that ferry.
Yeah, Botany got
disturbed there.
Yeah, I think there was the ferry and a large yacht there, and just as they tacked, they got
nice little combination.
That's cost them dearly because that's brought red pumps into play into their race.
Ruffy just going a little bit too high out of that tack, making Matty pull the chute on a little bit too hard.
Here's the set from Rob Napper and Trent Barnabas. And as you'd expect...
Impressive.
When Trent's arms are swinging, you don't want to get in the way of them.
No. But, they had a leeward set because they went around that left-hand bottom mark. So
yeah, they did, so nice clean
so it makes
set
it nice clean set. And here we go, they would have had that in their heads.
The Botany here, doing well again. They rolled it into windward nicely there for their one.
Yeah, good windward set from them, followed by the red pumps who have the spinnaker chute, obviously, so it's not an issue for them.
Jay Harris put the huge shoulders out there. Nice set from them as well. They've got the other red pumps hot on their heels though.
Yeah, followed by the Sutek, who've come back nicely.
Some big gains.
They've made some good gains. So
the brother versus sister here.
Zoe once again doing an awesome job.
I'd say they'd be the big mover up that leg, weren't they? Now they've got, just unfortunately,
just getting tangled up with a middle harbour boat.
Middle harbour. Oh, but they appear to be going around the YA marks up in...
Yeah, they
up in Manly.
The Cove, okay.
Manly East.
Looking down there on red pumps and Botany, so they've just jived off the rocks here. and you'll see Red Pumps Red coming into shot just behind Red Pumps.
It's an
Here
interesting.
they come, there they are.
Bit of an interesting decision from the Red Pumps Red there. I would have probably preferred to have taken a bit higher line there, Dolly.
Yeah.
A bit like the Sutek above them, and give yourself an opportunity to catch that gust and try and roll down over the top.
Get the gust that pulls you down.
Whereas really here, they're just almost following in. There's not really a passing manoeuvre here at all, is
That's
there?
right, yeah.
And you can see probably the Sutek around and behind them. I'd say they're almost in front already.
Yeah, worth rolling the dice and hoping you find that little bit of pressure.
But on screen here, we've got the Botany Access. They're doing a lovely job here, soaking down. Sort of, they managed to grab a puff on that jibe, and they're just managing to sail that little bit deeper with a bit more speed than the other blokes.
Yeah, nicely trimmed too from the boys there. See Jared nice and low on the wire and a bit of leverage over that kite. The boat's nice and flat. We can see their leeward chine, which is the key to being fast downwind.
It's they're getting a bit more consistent than Botany as well in the second half of the season by the looks of it. You know, they're a bit sporadic, getting a few good results, and then a couple of hard ones, and then a couple of bad ones, but they seem to be sort of pushing around that 4th, 5th spot constantly now.
Yeah, Chris back on the helm this weekend. Jared's been doing a fair bit of steering lately and getting some great results.
He told you about it?
Yeah, I had heard rumours. We're just weaving through the 13 fleet.
Ebix is leading
is out in
there.
front.
They won the Nationals.
Bella
Ebix,
and Sophie on the
Yeah, the
scaffold
Nationals.
second.
Botany scaffold. Sophie and Bella narrow second over Bartley Constructions. So the 13s look like they're having a nice race, but Ebix stepped out in front by about 100 metres over the chasing.
Here we've got here, hopefully Steve-O, the sponsor at home, is watching this jibe. Nice jibe from the boys there.
And girl.
And girls, yes. Sorry,
Yeah,
Jimmy.
you've got to, I don't think Zoe's sailed with the boys before, so...
Well, they've had a bit to do with Steve Bowen, who's from the Fluid and Sutek days fame.
Yeah.
And he's sort of worked hard with them on getting those systems down to pat, and they run pretty much the same as sail it the same way the Moonin does, and that forward hand jibing, the shoot, and doing those kind of things, and trying to be smooth. And really, those systems work really well because you can almost put anyone on the back.
Yeah.
It's all about following the weight through the boat, and then with the skipper, and you just almost following the tiller. It just seems to automatically happen. It's a really nice, smooth system.
So that would make it easier for Zoe to just slot in.
And then for her, you know, we've seen she's got some natural talent in boat.
Definitely.
Like boat speed-wise, that natural feel. She's managed to jump on with a few people and push them towards the front. So if you've got some good guys who've got some good systems up in front of her, they're going to do some damage.
Yeah. So tight,
Interestingly,
tight battle.
both the leaders, they split, so...
Yeah, so Nick in Cunningham's took the left-hand turn where Typhoon took the right-hand turn, and now we've just got Moonin very closely followed by Imey taking the right turn.
You can see that boat's never got quicker. Gus has got the tiller in his hand.
Ruffy back to his forward-hand days, is he?
Yeah, Ruffy packing the last bit of the shoot away there.
But this breeze has just kicked a little bit there, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, very patchy though, Paul.
Yep.
Very patchy.
Yep, agree.
Yeah, I agree that in the puffs here, there's a little bit more
Down this bottom
pressure.
end, definitely.
We just had a 13 capsize in
Red
front
Pumps
of
and Botany
Imey.
Access on screen.
So they've kind of, the Imey and the Moonin have jumped away from them a little bit there, and the Red Pumps has come hard into the Botany.
Whoa,
Red Pumps Red.
Late drop on the Red Pumps Red.
That's a lovely drop from Jackson, though.
Yeah.
Hits the wire straight off the mark. That's very impressive.
And to their left, Red Pumps has overcooked the lay line to this bottom mark. There they are now, and
So Sutek.
they've dropped and had to come up, as has Sutek. They're doing the same.
We saw this quite a bit during the Nationals, didn't we, Jimmy? A lot of people were struggling to get this jibe angle down to the bottom.
Look at the top, the halyards around the top spreader there on the fluid,
the
so it's
fluid.
going to make it hard to get down.
Probably a bit hard. Oh, thanks for the shot, guys. That's a great shot. That spinnaker will not come down in that scenario.
Just blame Burkett.
Nah, it's definitely Phil.
They've got plenty on here.
So how do you get that one out?
Tack, mate.
That's all you can do?
Yeah.
And not have too much tension in it that you snap
In the
it back?
halyard, yeah. No, tack and ease bang so that it'll twist, and that should pop off. Here they go. They're going to have a go now. Not enough halyard off.
And then we've just had...
Southerly has just gone in the tide between the two rounding marks.
It's just enough pressure pushing through down this bottom end of the course to start giving people a few issues, isn't it?
And there she goes. They managed to get that halyard off the top of the main. On screen there, they're just gone now.
They're just about to have us, the Capital Brewing.
Capital Brewing were about to join us for a moment there.
Yeah. Jimmy letting the big beast up the back go full reverse to try and get us out of there.
So in that ensuing mayhem, Employment Hero managed to pick that jibe angle nicely, I'm impressed to say.
Just sneak on through.
Yeah, they made some good gains there. They probably picked up 4 boats.
Yep.
Then.
It's just those small things, isn't it, around these courses that you see these guys up the front just get right every time. And that's the difference between...
Not every time, Paulie. Come on, you've been yelled at as well.
Me? I always got it right.
But when it's this close, though, little mistakes can be really costly.
Well, it was interesting, Jimmy was talking about the fire stopping boys earlier. You know, a lot of people come out when they first try and sail these things and go, it's all about trying to get your boat speed right. Learning how to turn the corners is more important than that. The speed will come naturally with time in the boat. It's more about learning your manoeuvres, because if you can get around the course, especially when it pushes up, without swimming or overlaying bottom marks, because you know all your processes are right, you can keep your head out of the boat, you're going to get a much quicker time around it. So my one thing is, make sure your speed will come, work hard on turning corners.
Even the simplest things, Paulie, like making sure your halyard's not going to knock.
Yep, and it's those processes, isn't it?
Yeah, and everyone knows their place and what they've got to do, and if all those processes are followed and everything goes to plan, those little mistakes don't happen.
Yeah, well, you remember, Noel, like how much we went to lengths to make sure that everything was all easy and accessible for the skipper at the time to be able to just, it's right there, we didn't have them on the floor.
I just had to reach down before I got to the bottom mark, give it a little tug. The take-ups took everything up. You had that confidence that...
But I think Ruffy used to almost compete with you on take-up systems.
Ruffy's boats.
Mate, our motto was always keep it simple, and, you know, like I was never a fan, like a lot of people have take-up systems in their boom and in their... I know Fluid has their take-up system inside their mast, and I was never a fan of that, you know, for the risk of something going, like getting an O-buoy on a pulley, and then how do you get to it?
You don't have access.
Yeah, so I was always a big fan of having it all on the floor or up on the side, and the skipper could deal with it if there was a problem.
Yeah, even the in-boom system, there's no stopper knob on the end of the halyard, so you're relying on the shock cord not breaking. If that shock cord breaks, you can be in all sorts of trouble. Lost halyard.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than the chute not coming down, I can tell you that much, especially when you're a sheet hang. It's definitely not your fault.
And without a halyard, it won't go up. So,
that's good. Then we don't have to pull the tack line out then.
I didn't use to do that too much myself anyway.
Look at all these positives coming.
So looking down there now on Cunningham's just taking a tack out from the rocks at the Bombora. They took a bit of a closer line this time. I think they learned a lesson from their last beat. We've still got Typhoon on starboard heading for the rocks. But interestingly, he's in some dirty air behind a yacht there, Paulie. But they're still persisting on going forward.
Well, I think the Cunningham's on screen are heading out to the right, but as we turn around, we'll pick up the Typhoon. There's a really nice puff coming down this shore at the moment.
There is. They'll come out.
And
They'll come out with pressure, but not height.
I think that they're going to have a little bit of height, actually, myself. But there's a few brains on that boat that are a little bit better than ours, I reckon, darling.
I reckon they can pick it. But yeah, the yachts that are on starboard had height, which would indicate that they probably won't have height on board, but they're not doing too badly.
It's just
super impressed that the Cunningham boys have managed to pretty much hold gauge on the Typhoon.
They're going to have.
I'd be nervous if I was the Cunningham boys. You got the Vernon not too far away, and they're rocket speed downhill speed.
And then also, it looks like the Army actually ate into the Moonin down that last run, so they might even have more wheels than the Moonin. We all know Robbie Napper knows can push it when he wants to, and that thing will go like a rocket ship.
Oh yeah.
And I know that Robbie Napper does like beating Ruffy. It is one of his more favourite things, isn't it, Jimmy?
Yes, indeed.
There's the Fluid 13 crossing in front of the 16 there, and just off screen at the moment, but the Ebix 13 has just rounded the top marker there. They just flashed across the screen, so that's
The Hoppos.
Gemma Hopkins steering with her brother James on the wire.
Looks like the Bartley in second for the 13s, followed by, is it the Botany Scaffold?
Yes, it is, I think.
Closely followed by the Fluid. And I'm trying to pick up some more names for everybody, but I can't quite see. Apologies.
That's a gain for the Bartley Constructions.
They've done really well there.
Yeah, they've got in front of Botany Scaffold and probably made a bit of a gain on Ebix, I think. So nice sailing there from Taylor Springett.
Might need to tighten up their leech line a little bit on that.
She's a bit, yeah, it might not be their best sail.
A few of the 13 kids, even after the Nationals, Dole, when I've been out for my afternoon run around Manly, I've seen a few of the 13 kids rigging up and going out for a bit of training, which is great to see.
Yeah, and especially it's the ones that have been training the most are some of the back of the fleet guys.
I've seen you on a few of your afternoon runs, Jimmy.
Yeah.
running to the
running
gym.
a bar tab at Manly 16-foot skiff club. That's about it.
Running to the gym, weren't you, Jimmy?
Well, I did notice as well, the shebang was actually out during the week sailing.
Yeah.
The shebang during the week. So what happened was it was the staff Christmas party at Manly Skiff Club, and the word went out to ask a few of the skiff guys who come down and volunteer their time and take out the staff. And every one of the staff that went for a sail had the biggest smile on their face. Our new manager at Manly, Adam, had a nice little shiner that resembles the shape of a trapeze hook. So they all learnt and they all had great fun. There's your daughter, Dole, on the
So Bella and Sophie
Scaffold,
third
the yellow
place.
type.
They're going to drive out there because Typhoon was
Smart decision there.
going to roll them and take all their air. So Typhoon lifting in low pressure there on starboard jibe. I think they're carrying on in the hope that they're going to pick up a bit of a vein of pressure once they jibe.
Looks like they're just trying to soak to get themselves in there as far as they can, because they've seen something running down that shore, and they might be a little bit early on.
There's breeze coming. So
Cunningham's round next.
About to round. There they go. And either held distance or maybe a small gain there.
I think they gained.
I think they made a small gain, so that's good sailing from the boys. I don't know whether maybe Typhoon's taken their foot off the pedal a little, but
Breno might be running out of gas.
There's another race to go yet, Jimmy, so you better get something into him between races.
And then also
QED Environmental Services coming around in the 13-foot skiffs.
Yep. So that's David Tolk with Alex.
And young
And then we've got John de Montfort, who's an ex-16-foot skiff old buffer, sailing with Jake Bentley in number 44. Next in...
Duchess, Amy Bentley and Bethan
Karunaratne, and they've got Amy hot on their tail in third place in the 16s. So good effort from those guys on the moon, and Paulie. The Imies put some.
They've put a
bit of distance on them.
And then they've
put the mocker on them.
And now Moonin's struggling to lay this mark.
Shoot the mark.
Get the camera off from here, boys.
So it looked like, as Jimmy said, they looked to shoot that mark and it wasn't going to happen, so they had to do a quick tack.
You can see there Matty Stenner, the man who can save anybody, even Gust.
swinging unhooked,
Yeah.
and that was costly.
That was a big loss.
That was costly.
They pushed themselves back into this back third group. So
Yeah. Red Pumps Red, followed by Botany Access.
Not a good set on the Moonin. How he had caught up.
maybe they might have had one too many schooners.
So they've had to jibe in order to get that kite up, and it's got quite a wine glass in it too. Advantage Red Pumps
Just
Red.
popped out.
There it goes now.
I think they're going to have clear air down here, and there's a high chance that, you know, Jared's quite good at all these tactics. You watch him, he definitely won't follow the red pumps. I reckon he'll jibe inside and hope for that pump down.
Well, he'll have his head out of the boat looking for pressure. But I've just got my head out of the camera cap looking for pressure, and I think they're better to keep going here at the moment.
Actually,
Got to try and push it all under the rocks here, looking out the...
Just missed that one that's sort of just in front of red pumps right now. There's that rock. They're on line for it.
So yeah, there we are on Botany now, and they're continuing because I just had a look over my shoulder, and there is some nice pressure coming down the bay here.
Do you think this breeze has clocked around to the north a tiny bit as well, Dolly?
It is a little, yeah, but it's oscillating back and forth, Paulie,
Yep.
so it hasn't swung to the north permanently, but certainly looks like when it goes downrange a bit, it's in the north, and then we're getting the puffs out of the northeast.
Bring our resident meteorologist, Bucko, and find out what the breeze is doing.
I tell you, I'm very surprised they're not pushing this hard into these rocks. Like, we used to almost skip these things, didn't we? I mean,
Yeah, well, I always used to get nervous how far we used to push it. I haven't...
we used to help with Bianco for a little bit. That bloke
Yeah, but
had the
I
bow
went out
pole over the rocks sometimes, didn't he?
I went and got a pair of goggles and flippers and
Checked it out.
swam it along there.
Raided the lobster pots while you were
I
there.
tried it out in the Flying 11 before things got too expensive and just hit the bottom a few times.
So we just
Back when Dad was paying for it.
we just got off picture there with Imey. Now you saw they were going really quick and had good depth.
There they are, back on screen, mate.
Yeah, there they are. So
Inside the
try
boat.
some of that.
nicely trimmed, going quick. They just picked up another puff. You just saw them come away again. But they'll be looking at jibe. Or just as I said it, they have jibes. So I said they'd be looking at jibing. The big gain out of this
Red
group
pump.
has been Red Pumps Red.
So we just saw them cross in front of the Moonin. Moonin's extending out to the right here. I think they're going to be pushing this lay pretty hard from there, aren't they, Jimmy?
Well, we see what happened last time down the bottom mark with a lot of the boats.
Yeah, they are going to the finish, not the mark, so it gives them a little bit
Where
more.
is that fin?
No, well, the finish is a bit
The
shorter.
finish is
Don't forget
further
it's
to
the
the
blue
left.
mark.
Oh, because it's the blue mark, isn't it,
Mate,
Jimmy?
the Moonin here is hot.
They're coming in hot.
Get those shoulders out there, Gus. Bottom, low strings. I think they've done the right thing though. This is they got behind there. They really had to do something a little bit different. Unfortunately for them, I think the red pumps can just come and jibe inside them, can't they?
So for the viewers at home, Typhoon across the line first.
Yep.
Cunningham's just crossing the line now.
Good race from
not on
both of
screen,
them. Very good race. There's the Cunninghams.
Yeah, fantastic effort from the Cunningham's boys, and once again, Typhoon putting their foot on the throat of their opposition.
And we all know Alex is quicker in the second race because it means that you get to the bar quicker. So expect them to push even further up the front to the next one. There's the red pumps. They've just gradually been chipping away at it. It's that cool heads that we sort of talked about through the Nationals with them, Jimmy. They seem to have come back to it, haven't they?
Yeah,
Just
they had a few weeks off, right? So
trust your processes, go back to what you know you do well. And they've really, they've sailed through the Moon in here and really pushed up into the Ivy, which are two of the very fancy boats. It's very impressive from those guys.
Yeah, they jived onto a really nice vein of pressure there.
The Ivy's done really well just to lock away these two boats behind, haven't they? Pushed them out to lane, they can follow you in.
They've picked a perfect ley line here. They're hot, but they should make it.
When you see Trent trying to get his arms out above his head, you know that there's a bit on.
You can bet Robbie will have the kite in one hand and the other arm over his head.
Yeah, trying to block the sheet hands view as much as he can.
So here they come. They're across the line there now. That's an excellent effort from...
Really, so they were another boat that pushed their way back through the fleet, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's a good result, a third.
Great sailing from Sarah and the boys.
Got plenty on. They are way low.
Moon and heaps on.
Paulie picked that they weren't going to lay it. Red pumps
I think
red.
it's going to be touch and go here with the Moonin and the Botany, who have taken a lovely line down the centre.
No, Moonin will get there.
They'll get there.
Yeah.
Tell you what, Matty will be having a couple of words to Gussie between these races.
We wouldn't have got that lay wrong, would we, Paulie?
Wow.
No, you wouldn't have, because it would not if you two were on wire.
Yeah, I'll deal with the spinning glass too.
You would have been jibing at Grotto. So,
Have you been out with Speezy or something like that? Have you done?
Oh, Tully.
here comes Botany. Great race from those guys. That's an excellent result. Very consistent.
I mean, I think they might be a little bit disappointed. They were up in third. They did just drift back, but it's still a really good result.
And for those following the 13s, we had Ebix, then Bartley Construction, Botany Scaffold, then Fluid.
I think there's going to be a little bit of carnage coming into this finish.
Oh.
We're having a yacht, have a really good time with the start boat here. I mean, the start boat hasn't moved in a while. It's an interesting decision from those guys.
He was about to come on board with us, the Hellraiser, appropriately named yacht.
So
they're raising hell.
Zoe Dransfield there going through for, I believe, a sixth or a seventh. Little brother got the wood on her, unfortunately.
Battle of the Dransfields.
But it looks like she touched up the old boy.
I don't know where that Hellraiser yacht was going, Dole. Have you ever looked out the back of the camera boat? They were square running. They planning to go over the top of Middle Head.
Well, they still haven't quite got that
And you
pole
got that
launch
reef off the end of Middle Head. I'd suggest the Coast Guard.
Do we want to
on
film this
standby.
for a bit
Is
of
the
Club
employment
Marine?
hero? Employment hero and
Yeah, on screen, a bit of a
Capital Brewing.
battle between Employment Hero and Capital Brewing. A couple of 13s getting in the mix. We've got
the Fluid?
the Fluid out of shot at the moment. They've overcooked the ley line to the finish as well. And this could be interesting actually. I think Fluid will just get there.
Wow. Berkey's still trying to get it away.
And
Employment Hero coming in fully lit up.
coming in hot. That's a good result for the boys.
Yeah. Very good. Sort of seems like they moved forward a tiny bit through the fleet, which is always what you want to do.
Didn't make mistakes. And Jess Isles, our Vice Commodore in Capital Brewing, in behind.
And then here's the shebang. The forward hand with the biggest guns in the fleet, Alana Clancy.
Yeah. She's fitter than most of the blokes out here.
She's fitter than
She's
almost
fit as a fit.
everybody.
Yeah.
It's nice to see. I don't think George is out here today on the Outback Marine.
yeah, I think she was another late one getting out. So it must have been some problem up in the park because there was quite a few of them.
I've got a strange
Late.
feeling she may be skiing.
Have you seen them? I haven't seen the boat out
Georgia
today.
was sailing with Kenny Walk and who was the other one? She told me last night. So
I haven't seen them though,
Kicked her
Jimmy.
sister off the boat, did she?
no, Lana signed on with Kingy before. It was a whole back deal done.
Oh, Kingy likes to get his calendar done in about July the year before, so it does make sense.
Next in, we've got Southerly with
Look at Altus in the background.
Matt Triglone, Steve and Tim. Altus overcooked this ley line. That's them with the blue spinnaker. You can see ragging.
I think the Altus might need to expend their trap lines a little bit.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah, they were looking a little bit upright there, weren't they?
So Altus will manage to
Sneak
just
on through.
scrape on through in front of, who do we have
Bartley.
there? Bartley 16.
Lovely shot of the Bartley coming into the finish there as well. Picked a great lay line from the boys.
Tell you who's in the bow with Georgia? Daniel Nugent.
Ah,
There they are, right in front of us.
so she's not skiing in Canada.
No. There's the Chubbs.
Chubbs will be next through. Do a bit of a tea bag for the crew there.
Is he?
Followed by Outback Marine. Who have we just had go in the drink there, Jimmy? Is that one of our
Musto?
boats?
Could be the Musto.
Outback Marine on screen there now. They're just coming through.
Dad's Papa Dransfield's going to have a bit of talking to at the dinner table possibly tonight.
He might have the chalkboard out for him.
Bragging rights. They'll be moving the salt and pepper shakers around the table, explaining.
I know once my old boy thought that we could beat him in a race. He said, "Oh, my body can't take it anymore."
Yeah, I'm giving up.
So he still claims he's got the wood on all of us.
Give up. Just off screen, we've got. We'll pick them up in a second. We've got the fire truck coming in hot.
They, they pretty much got to sail their own race around the course today, didn't they? With a late start.
Yeah.
But they've, kept the boat upright, pushed it up to the back of the fleet.
Yeah.
It's a good job.
Yeah. We'll see.
It's a lovely looking shoot on that boat at the moment as well.
I think that's a new one.
Oh, that's a new
Maybe
kind,
let
is
the
it,
luff
Jimmy?
line go a little bit.
Yeah, I've told them if they want to do that, because they were sort of playing around with the idea of doing it himself, I said go down and get Baz to do it a few times, watch how he does it and learn.
Yeah.
Because if Baz knows that you've touched it, he'll kill you.
You got to do it quite a little bit though, don't you?
Yeah.
Especially on the new ones.
Especially when you shoots, and especially if these boats are so wet in the, where we sail here, and particularly in Manly with the seaway and so forth, you cop a lot of green ones over the bow.
Yep.
And your spinnaker's constantly getting saturated, and then you pull it up in the sun, and salt water and sun don't really go well together, and it crystallises that line that you were talking about, and then it shrinks that line up. So that's why, as you said, you got to keep letting it out. And there's
changes your luff tension on the
all
kite.
the time. Like we used to change that almost weekly.
Yeah, we didn't quite run your program, Jimmy. I just used to sit at the back and say that it was wrong. But
it helps if you take them down to our friends at VacuWash and have them cleaned and lubed regularly.
VacuWash.
It ensures that your spinnakers stay drier, because the McLube keeps your spinnaker drier, and they're slipperier, they jibe better.
Well, that's
John Dransfield in the Musto, just going across the finish line now, and not sure who's on board. Actually, it might be Jamie Stoddart on the sheet. It looks like Noel Kinch in the bow. It doesn't look like Paul Schultz.
So particularly dull for the VacuWash for that great company. They have to do all the 18 spinnakers all the time, because they've got like sale numbers, so they can't just go out and buy a new spinnaker. They've got to reuse their old gears.
You can replace 70% of it though, can't you?
There's some stupid rule, but the VacuWash stuff, like I've used them and I swear by it. Like
they need to. It gives you a lot more life in your sails, and the washing process is really gentle. But then the lube process gets that silicon back into the spinnaker, which in time disappears, and keeps your spinnaker crisp, keeps your spinnaker dry, and when you're manoeuvring it, it's more slippery, goes up quicker, jibes quicker.
Contemporary pools. Saint coming in.
Bring up the rear.
Looks like Saint's taking the recliner into the finish, not jumping out on wire.
First off the beach, last to the finish. Maybe I think Saint might be keeping his powder dry for tonight.
Oh, I thought you were saying for the second race.
Don't peak too early, Paulie.
No, for tonight's celebrations, he'll be in the thick of it.
Yeah, he'll definitely be the first one off the beach for that race, I think.
And
Andrew St John has been a lifetime sailor at the club, and he's served office as Vice Commodore for a long time, and like he is with his footy, he's a real clubman.
Yep.
As he bleeds Manly.
Yep.
The 16's just on the back of the start boat here. Dull, they've got W3, so windward finish, and the 13's a W2, so at least they're going to finish them up at the club, which is really nice in the 100th year.
Well, they want everyone packed up and ready to get to this celebration tonight.
I always just at the Nationals, I found it a little bit funny sometimes that we were finishing all the way down here and everyone was up there. Why not just...
We did a charity race on the Ozmark, the yacht that I sail on Wednesdays.
Craig Nichols' boat, yeah.
Oh, Gunter's boat, but that's another one Craig goes along and puts input in and no one listens to. And then they did this charity race for Red Kite, and we finished. The Middle Harbour Yacht Club finished us at Manly, and the finish line was at Middle Harbour. And we literally had to go around there and back to Middle Harbour. It was like
you had to go there anyway.
Yeah. So I was a bit like, wow, okay.
Shout out to Craig Nichols. I'm sure he's watching.
He'll be watching.
I did hear something on the beach today that typhoon winning crew are talking about getting palm trees tattooed on them. Do you think Craig will go along with that?
Don't know.
Maybe
Craig, well, I know Mal was already balking at it.
Craig could get it over that lovely...
Over his dodgy leg.
Oh, God, could you only imagine? They'd have to amputate his leg if they did that.
We were sort of saying as well, Dolly, earlier, weren't we, as well, that perhaps Bretto could get Manly 16-foot skiff club written in there underneath it somehow as well.
Yeah,
get it on his forehead.
I had a bet with him when they won the Nationals year before last that before the regatta, so with no form guide, I said, if you win, you've got to get the Manly logo, Manly Skiff Club logo tattoo, because he always gets a tattoo to commemorate a national title. And he's reneged.
Even a sprint title.
He's reneged, but he now has a palm tree, is that right?
Yeah, well, he's saying he's going to get it on his calf. He's got the lovely, huge piece on his back from when he won the sprints with Danny Anderson a couple of years ago. Full colour, quite impressive.
Quite a panorama.
Ooh, off screen.
A bit of a bingle.
Bartley
my daughter involved.
Well, when your dad's a boat builder, you can run into people.
Not anymore, he's not.
He still knows how to play with carbon a little bit, though.
Looks to me like the girls might have been on starboard, so...
I think the girls are already in the tide by the looks of it.
Oh, were they? Okay. They're just cooling off.
Why not?
So we're sort of just in. Looks like they've just put the on-station flag back up, got rid of the finishing line.
Starting line looks a little longer this time.
Yeah. So off that last start, Dolly, it wasn't really super clear which end paid, was it? Because, the Cunningham's just had good speed off that one end.
I think it was weather end, but you had to be on the line and going, right? Bruce Savage in Red Pump started further down the line, came off with good pace, didn't go for height, just pushed hard, and that worked as well. So the line to me looks about the same angle as what we ran last time. So it still should be boat favoured, I think, but you can't fit all those boats into the one spot, right? So the key will be clear air and speed off the line.
Yeah, Bruce was never a fan of a high line anyway. He always...
Yeah, no, he likes that low, fast mode.
Which, it pays in certain places, it does really well. However, as we were saying before, if you don't have a squeeze in a nor'easter at Manly and a nice high groove, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
It really is how you...
Like, it took me a good hard season of learning high groove and being able to sail it and and we trained the house down that year, and once we had both modes, it was game on.
And that's where having an established combination between a skipper and a sheet hand is just vital.
So I know we used to run it in a way that you had the forward hand looking up the course, trying to pick a course, and then that sort of short-term tactics went down to the sheet hand, and in a nor'easter was always we need to squeeze up to the next gust.
We just had Rob for motivation.
And if you ever said we're going to chase away to one in front of you, it's like you should tack.
Yeah.
That was the kind of way that we sort of ran in our heads, and sometimes you needed to bend and squeeze and you take a bit of punishment, but if you can catch the edge in these things, you really just whip it up, especially around that Dobro point.
Yeah.
That there is, if you can't sail high, you're going to go backwards pretty quick.
So who are you liking for this one? Do you think the Typhoon can do a 2 from 2?
I'm not sure. I think it would make it an interesting last few races if they could definitely pull it off.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see it get mixed up a bit though, so that this club championship stays alive.
Yeah.
Well, I think it is now with Ruffy getting a 5th in that last one and those guys getting a 1st. I think it's going to be pretty close.
The next club you're talking about, that Dole, for all the viewers at home, is on the 18th of March. So tune in for that. That'll be it for us covering sailing here at Manly 16s for this season.
Yep.
Currently in negotiations for next season with them. So
it's
oh mate, you guys do such an awesome job promoting not just the club and the 16s, but sailing in general. It's I think they'd be mad not to continue that relationship.
I think for this one, I think the Red Pumps Red could surprise us.
yeah,
I think they started to put it together at the end of that one. I'm saying they'll push for the podium a little bit harder than... They still got a 3rd in that last one, didn't they? Fourth.
Yeah. So
I think the breeze is built just nicely to what Robbie Napper likes. So
Yeah.
I'm on the Imey.
yeah,
Yep.
I'm on the Imey, mate.
You're on the Army?
Yeah.
This breeze has just got Robbie Napper written all over it.
I don't want to put the mocker on it, but I think the Cunninghams were looking quick when it was a bit more uprange in that last one as well.
Yeah, Alex said the mast sets up completely different to their old mast, and whatever it is, works a treat. Like
Hey, that new mast went in that thing and it took off.
So
Yeah.
have they, interesting, have they gone from the wet layup wound mast that was the one they broke, and now they have a toe prig mast? Or
That sounds
think
way
so,
too
yeah.
technical for me, Dolly.
Explain for the viewers, Dole. It's just not us.
Okay, so the majority of the boats use spars, masts and booms, etc., that are produced by CST, composite spars and tubes. Traditionally, they use what we call a wet layup, where the fibre is taken through the resin, wound onto a mandrel or a mould, and then bound and cooked and cured. The pre-preg is where the resin is already impregnated into the carbon fibre, and it gets wrapped onto the mandrel and compressed. It has the ultimate, or the optimum resin to fibre ratio, so it's higher strength, lighter weight. They'd had a bit of trouble mimicking or copying the bend characteristics between the two constructions. Had been causing some bit of angst with a few crews and sailmakers, but so a number of the boats have chosen to go back to the wet layup mast, but I think a lot of it probably depends on crew weight and stuff as well, and the way you like to set up your boat.
Well, I know we used to always go for a little bit stiffer mast than everybody else on the Sutak.
What was that, Paulie?
Well, I like to put it simply, I used to like to work the sheet hard, Dolly.
So we're racked up and we're inside.
It's lazy. Are you going through the start line?
We're inside a minute to go.
So we're seeing the red pumps line up at that pin end again, very similar to last time. Typhoon heading down that way and the Moonin down that end as well. The Botany, who had a good race up towards the pin. The Imey looking to win the boat.
Imey
as
looking
well.
for the boat, and he's got Musto to mess with, and he's also got hopefully contemporary
And
pools.
the Cunningham's almost taking the exact same lane as last time, almost waiting for somebody to hold up on the boat and just jump through at the last minute.
Yeah, Nick's going to be in trouble here. I don't think something's going to open up.
I think he's quite happy with his
7
speed, just to
seconds.
open in the second lane and just go into that high groove from last time. He's done all right there. Red pump splicing off the pin. Looks like there's a bit of a left shift. Great start.
Great start from Imey.
Yeah.
Just had a message from Evan Beebe. He's watching. He's reserving himself for this evening's events.
G'day, Evan. We've had
Some of us do the big lift, don't we, Jimmy? Come out here and do this kind of stuff.
we heard rumours that Evan might have been sailing today, but he's another one keeping his powder dry for tonight, I think.
I'll tell you what, the Cunninghams, again, just took that second row. Looks pretty similar to what they did last time here, doesn't it, Dolly?
Yeah, he managed to find a lane and clear air and good pressure.
Moonan's got a bit of clear air this time, which is nice to see with the
Yeah,
red
they
pumps.
didn't have that in the last race, did they? They were buried off the start.
It's just it seems a little bit like the Nationals as well, where they got touched up upwind on that last leg, which is very unlike them. Like, they're usually pretty quick through the water, especially once you get 2 on wire. They managed to put the Typhoon in behind them, which is nice.
Yeah, that overhead shot. You can see how quickly off the start line there the separation that you can get. But we're going to get over here into the Bombora, and the fleet will, when boats start to tack and try and find the lane out of there, you'll see the fleet will compress.
Looks like the red pumps has found their high groove, actually, sounding around the bow of the guys above them at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. But we'll see how they can place that tack and see if they can get out of there on port and cross pulley.
It's also when they hit this flat water over here, everybody else who does have that bit high groove can click into it. In this lumpy stuff, it's a bit too high risk to take it.
Yeah.
So it's in the flat water that you really notice that groove.
Yeah, when it's lumpy, that's when you've got to have speed.
You got to have a bit of aggression in that lumpy stuff. Watch the bow of the boat. Bow goes up, sheet on. Bow goes down.
Yeah.
Popping out.
Just having a look around, like, 3:10 on a Saturday on Sydney Harbour, you expect a ton of boats, and there's no one out here. So
I'm watching the live stream, Jimmy.
Watching the live stream, saving their powder for tonight.
I think I better buy a ticket for tonight.
But that means that we're going to have a really nice clear run for this second race of the clubby.
You can just see those boats on the inside of red pumps there just now, just starting to slightly lift out on them. Bruce has decided to get his tack in and see if he can get across. It's going to be tight.
No, he'll cross.
Very tight.
There you go.
It's quite early for them. There's still pressure up where we are on the
It looks like there's a nice little one filling in this bay up here. If you can get the one that shoots over the hill, that's
the magic one.
That's the magic one.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's coming, but if you can see it, you got to take it.
Moonen looking for it, now tacking. So he's just seen this puff that we were just talking about. He looks a little soft out of the tack, but he should gain pressure any moment, and more coming.
The interesting here with red pumps red and Imey, just watching Moonen go across as a gauge. There's a big problem on Moonen. They're doing a penalty turn again.
Do you think that might have been from that cross, that they didn't get across them clearly?
I think so, and I think Ruffy's just erring on the side of caution. Anytime someone yells protest, he'll probably do a turn at the moment.
Yeah, rather than go to the room and take the risk.
You don't go to the room, just buy a jug.
And it's early.
The bar's closed at the moment, then it's free. Then there's free beers on later, so we can that's when you buy it.
It's even easier then, isn't it, Jimmy?
And very early days in this race.
The red pumps has done well to jump out from that back position. The Cunningham's here, once again up the front of the fleet.
Doing awesome, aren't they?
That boat it just looks quick through the water at the moment too, doesn't it? Just.
They're going to have to really manage this second half of the first work, Cunningham's, because there's an ensuing pack which, if you get swallowed up by one or two, you're going to there'll be a procession. Now Typhoon, not in an ideal position at the moment. They've just had to tack because of Moonen on starboard, and they're going to get pushed over, maybe to where they don't want to go, and also fall into the controlling clutches of Ruffy.
Well, I think it's also, you just sort of get, when you're back there, you can get bounced around, and we know that they've got two of the best tactical minds on that boat.
Yeah.
But if you can't get clear air, you can't use that to pick your shifts. You just sort of get tumbled around in a washing machine back there, and you've almost got to go on a bit of a flyer and trust your pace, and hope that you can burn yourself around everyone to get a bit of clear air yourself. Otherwise, the gap to the front runners gets too big and you can't get back there. But the red pumps there are looking really nice.
They are. They're quick through the water. They're nice and flat. They're big Greg Winder swinging it down there. Bruce is one of the biggest skippers, so that little bit more pressure kind of negates.
They do have one of the
That way
smallest
to be-
forward hands in the fleet, though.
Yeah, but it's all about working your weights back and forth in the boat as well, and you know you'll find that you get you find where you want it to be. It's basically just the bow just kissing the water is the ideal spot, isn't it?
I know when we went from the dolly boats to the black boats from China, we always knew on Dolly's boat exactly where you wanted that knuckle to sit as soon as you got 2 on 1. There was Steve Bowen told us exactly where it had to be.
Yeah.
And as the wave state changed, you moved yourself backwards and forwards. It is a little bit different in the Chinese boats. They're a little bit rounder at the front than that, and without as pronounced knuckle at the front.
Yeah.
They're a bit fuller, so there were a few changes that had to get made there, and then the Van Munster ones are they're a bit different again.
Yeah.
They're almost fine all the way through, and you keep the bow just in the whole time.
Yeah.
And really drive off that. So different styles for different modes.
Yeah, the main difference between the China boats and my boats in that sailing style is I think you can get further back in the China boat and drive it off the foils a bit more rather than relying on your waterline length.
Yep. And then I sailed a Van Munster boat for a little bit myself, and I always found with them when you did stall out, you really had to get your weight forward.
Yeah.
And it's just different modes for each one.
Yeah, and each of those boats came into their own in different conditions.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And
what they did when they brought out the association hulls are referred to often as the China boats. They looked at all the boats and took the best took the best points of each boat that was out there and sort of rolled that into a new design.
So they just tried to replicate your work, Dole. That's what you're saying.
Well, they certainly took the
that
best.
super fast red one that won some punt through a couple of national titles.
You can see that they've taken the best points of my boats, but they've changed that frontal section.
Oh yeah, well
it's subtle, but it's there.
So here we have the Cunninghams on screen. They've extended out to the east a little bit further. Getting a bit of gauge there. If they get a nice one out of the right, where we thought those gusts tended to be coming from up the top end of this course.
That's
up near Ed Head.
Oh, they haven't stretched out that far.
No.
Ed Head might become the place to go with the Typhoons winning form lately. I think they're going to be pushing pretty close to lead the Cunninghams out there.
Yeah, they're down a bit now, though, on height, unfortunately. I would have liked to have seen them get a bit of a right-hander there.
A little bit of board down.
Now they're up.
A little bit of board down, get a bit of squeeze going there, and they'll be nice.
They're certainly going to be in contention.
Well, they're not going away, are they?
I just really like the way they're sailing the boat at the moment, though. It just seems really smooth. As Jimmy was talking about the movement through the boat, just those little steps forward at the right time and everything. For a bunch of guys that don't like doing too much training, they're making it look pretty easy at the moment.
Yeah, Alex and Michael have got a really nice combination on the wire. You can see that they move their weight around well, and the boat's always in good trim from what I've seen. They've got good control, flat driving.
Yep. Which can be hard in these puffy conditions up the top of the course.
Definitely, yeah.
So they just went behind the red pumps. So the red pumps are still winning.
With a lighter crew weight on Cunningham's, sort of say advantage to them up here, right, at the moment. Just through this last little...
Through this puffy stuff, yes.
I think they're going to extend out and catch a nice one out of the left, which Dolly's just pointed out the window for us.
Yeah.
I think it could be real tight.
Yeah, no, they'll get this port hander.
Unfortunately, if they get close to Bruce at a top mark, is he someone that you want to take on at a top mark in close quarters?
No. I've done it a few times, yeah. Why not?
He who shall not yield.
I'm just looking out here. It's going to be very, very tight.
It's going to be very close.
I think the
Cunninghams are going to get a tack inside here, no problem.
They didn't push it last race with those kind of manoeuvres though, so they might be a tiny bit
They just got a
conservative.
header. Yeah, that big knock, Jimmy. Big header there.
And look at this, just behind them, behind the Cunninghams.
What are they going to do here?
The Typhoon.
They're going to go behind, but they need to tack straight away. There they
Typhoon
go.
ripping straight back up. Done well.
Bit of a sloppy tack from the Imey in the background there. unfortunately. What's going on with the Moonin there, Paulie?
Well, I'm not sure. Ruffy will probably say it's time for a new boat, I reckon.
The Moonin is on the market.
It's for sale. Indeed it is.
I'll put these out there. For anyone who's thinking of getting it, it is immaculate, that boat. A lot of time and energy and love goes into Ruffy's boats. And
all by others.
Okay, so nice set from the Cunninghams giving chase to Red Pumps, followed by the Typhoon, followed by Imey, all very close. Then Ruffy got himself out of jail there very well.
Well,
on the Moonin.
I don't know about that because the Typhoon was behind him when we had a look there.
Yeah,
and they've extended.
But he got himself mixed up in this chasing
looks
pack.
like they've just lost a Matty Stenner overboard.
That's cost them too. Red Pumps Red trying to get over.
Botany here, just see them doing a few little side-to-side manoeuvres.
The shebang up there nicely.
Coach King, as I like to call him.
So they're followed by Botany Access, Capital Brewing, Sutec,
Outback Marine.
Outback Marine, Victron Energy.
Fluid doing the nice early jibe again, and they've got a cracker down the centre of the course there, don't they?
Oh yeah.
Like that. If they can hold that out for a little bit, they're going to sail down into these blokes below them pretty quick. The early jibe seems to have paid a few times. We're going to see Ruffy do his best impression of how close, show how close you can actually go to the rocks here.
Being an electronic specialist, he might have a depth sounder on board here.
He does have all the technology.
Capital Brewing with the red kite jiving there. The yellow spinnaker you can see is Shebang and the blue spinnaker Botany.
Nice jibe there from the Capital Brewing.
Lovely.
Just got to get that forward hand out on wide, juice it back up. You can just see those guys who jibed a tiny bit earlier just to reach down over the top. You can get stuck in this corner. And the fluid around and behind all of these boats, including the Zutec, has managed to jump back in front of all of them. Just with a nice early jibe and clearing their area.
Bit of bozo magic.
Yeah.
Stayed in the pressure.
As we said, if there's a man who can sail a nor'easter at Manly. How do you think they're going to go picking their lays down here, Jimmy? I think some of them are already pretty close to it.
Yeah, they're not far off it, that's for sure.
I reckon Clint's going to push it across here to try and clear his air, and he could be... Sure, he'll be all right.
Yeah, he won't want to go too far past these Bombora marks, though.
I think he's...
I'd be jibing pretty soon.
I'd be
boys.
popping my top button as well.
Yeah, that'd help.
Going for a bit of a...
Top two buttons, in fact.
Yeah. There's enough telltales on the top of that main that you should know that it's not popped.
Lovely overhead shot there from
Lovely
the drone.
jibe from the boys there too.
So
Get low there, Phil. I think you're pulling yourself up. I'd be going down. They've done really well there, the fluid though, haven't they? Like they're almost pushing up into third or fourth here.
Yeah, they've done well.
Just by taking that different line, staying out of the traffic, clearing your air, missing that kind of washing machine getting bounced around like we said could easily happen. So the red pump's still leading up the front, just coming onto screen now.
Putting a jibe in. Oh, they're in trouble. They're in big trouble. And they're gone. Advantage Cunningham's take the lead. Very closely followed by Imey.
And the way the Imey sailed through the fleet last time, that's going to be nice. Cunningham's are liking their lane back into this bottom mark. I think they've hit this on the money. The Imey could be a little bit hot here.
And a real, you can't really see on the screen there, but it's a real washing machine at the bottom mark here at the moment.
Yeah.
A lot of power boat wash and confused seaway bouncing back off middle head.
But just like the way the Cunninghams are sailing, they're very conservative. They're just sticking to what they know, which is get into the point, make sure you lay the bottom mark, and trusting their speed and managing to get through it. They've all sailed these boats long enough they know how to turn all the corners.
Yeah, they'll give themselves enough room here on their lay line. They'll be able to jibe comfortably, get themselves set up, get the kite down cleanly, and not get caught up in that ensuing problems and mistakes that we saw a few people have in the last race at the gate.
And also they get to pick which gate they're going to take. Go around. Take a right turn at the bottom.
And we are going to see a split here.
And make everybody follow you.
Now, to me, that'll be advantage Cunningham's.
Big time.
So, Imey probably snuck around that left-hand mark a tad earlier than Cunningham's got around the other, but in saying that, Cunningham's having a bit of trouble getting the kite into the bag at the moment.
Two big movers down this run, Moon and Fluid.
The other thing too, Dole, with Imey, probably to their defence, they've taken that mark. They get a normal set at the top, but they also get to clear the top of just around to the right of camera here. Botany Access all in trouble, but they get to clear their area below all these spinnakers chasing
the boat's coming downwind. Yeah. Yes, that's right, Jimmy.
Are they doing a letterbox drop just here?
I'm surprised you even know what a letterbox drop is, Paulie.
I'll listen to Bucko one day and explain it.
They heard the club didn't have enough prawns for tonight, so
it's very good of one of our fellow directors, Chris Thomas, to bring in the prawns.
And so another director of the club's also doing a bit of prawning action on the left, just off screen as well.
The southerly in all sorts of trouble here.
Nicely done from Georgia on the outback there, just sailing around the outside.
Not quite a swim. The tip of the mast didn't hit the water.
Yeah, they're still going to get that spinnaker away.
I don't think Polo got wet.
And bringing in the back, we've got Bartley, Fire Stopping, Musto, Altus and Employment Hero.
We might get back on up course and see what the outcome is between Cunningham's and Imey. So I think that's going to be the pick for the day.
It's really coming around this bottom mark. The boats that rounded first have really dropped away a little bit. It's almost like there's been a bit of a right shift or a bit of a header. Or perhaps it's just, when we look up here, it tends to just be the Moonin and the Typhoon, and maybe the Moonin's just sitting there playing a few little games and trying to squeeze his way up there.
Yeah, just Ruffy teaching Nathan the high mode.
I think they've got it. I think Typhoon's got every mode, to tell you the truth.
They just dial it up.
But sometimes you can also sit there and squeeze them up and make them hold up, and then you run away at your point of choice. My thing is I'd be sitting there, not let him give that Typhoon any breathing space. They look super quick, especially with an upwind finish. The Moonins, the rocket ship downhill, but they seem to be lacking a little bit upwind at the moment. So keep it close, lock it away.
And really nice here in the Sound, working up towards the Bombora at the moment. Probably the most consistent, steady breeze that we've had in both consistency and strength.
I'll tell you what, that turn at the bottom, the Cunninghams have extended from that, as you correctly assumed would happen.
Yeah.
And I think almost the Moon and the Typhoon have got the Imey here as well.
Great effort from the Cunninghams, just consolidating on the advantage that they picked up on that run with Red Pups making an error.
What do you think their tactics would be from here on the Cunninghams? Do you think it's just conservative and try and lock them away?
Yeah, I think it's the old adage, Paulie, keep yourself between the opposition and the next mark. Don't bang a corner. Just be conservative and just keep yourself between. And which I'm a bit disappointed they're not really doing right now.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
I'd like to see them tack now and come back to the Bombora.
Yeah, just a little short cover.
Yeah.
And the thing for them as well is there's a few guys behind them that will be wanting to really get a bit of gauge on each other and get past them. That sail that conservative middle course, stay between them and the mark, and then if you see someone making big gains in one, they've got enough of a gap that they could sacrifice a little bit.
We're just saying there on screen that, you know, the three what you call the heavy hitters here from Manly being Typhoon, Moon and Yachts and Imey.
Red pumps.
And, the three of them together, but they're all jostling amongst themselves, and that just gives Cunningham's a bit of an opportunity to leg it.
It does.
I like the Imey's position here.
It does, Jimmy, but I don't like how they're giving them an opportunity.
Like they are, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd much rather see them up taking this line.
Yeah.
Especially since the left has been favoured so much. They're sort of protecting the right where they are at the moment, aren't they?
They should be leading these guys in, not...
As we say that, they've just tacked. Red Pumps Red have done well to get themselves back into this as well.
Nice race, this one. It's good, tight, close racing.
I just find it really strange that nobody's hit this point a little bit more.
One boat,
but you can almost
there they
see
are, fluid.
You can almost see the pressure line as it whips around the point in the compression, and they're all just sort of went along the edge of it and didn't get the most of it.
Yeah, one boat, Clint Bowen, the old master of the nor'easter.
As we say that, we got the Red Pumps coming back in as well as the Typhoon.
Yeah, look, it's worked out okay for the Cunninghams, but I thought that was a high risk.
You don't need to be having high risks.
No.
You know, on a day like today, that's for sure.
I think the Typhoon's done really well here, getting back into this side. It's I'd say the Typhoon's actually pushed up into second here already. The Moonin and the Imey almost went too far into that right-hand side, which high risk area, wasn't it, Dolly?
Was, yeah.
I mean, sometimes you can justify it by saying we're trying to minimise tacks and things like that, but you've just seen the Typhoon do two extra tacks with the Red Pumps, and they've both pushed themselves in front.
In the 13-foot skiffs, we've got Bartley Constructions leading Fluid, followed by Ebix.
You know, Clint just tacking on screen on the Fluid there. He knows where the rock is down this end.
And it's tight in this chasing pack.
It's really tight, isn't it?
A lot of twist in that Fluid rig, Paul. A lot of twist.
Yeah. They've sort of taken the lock it on and let the rig do the work, as opposed to you'll see some of these other guys. Nice tack close to the rocks there from the Moonin. That's more like it, isn't it, Jimmy?
Yeah, we're talking about how close you can go in there, and Ruffy really got it in there close.
You see them come out of these tacks, the work that Gus and Matty do with their bodies, really trying to build that speed back up. And as we talk about those rig setups, you see, compared to the Fluid, the Moonin works a little bit more sheet, a bit stiffer on the legs.
And that's a good gain from the Moonin.
Yeah. I mean, as we said before, though, you just can't let this Typhoon get it breathe at all. They just seem to have some legs. The Cunninghams has just held their position nicely up front as well. They're sort of off screen because they're just doing as Dolly asked them to do earlier. Put some nice loose covers on.
Yeah, but I didn't like what they did coming out of there before. I'll be having a word to Nick about that later.
Nick's quite he's very good with all that kind of tactical kind of things as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Doesn't like to let you know it, but he's very crafty with the way he goes about it.
And that's why he's leading this race at the moment.
They've just got a really nice easterly slant coming at them here too. I quite like the line that they've taken.
And some nice pressure too, Paulie.
Yeah. And I mean, it almost looks like they're going to come up to here to lay and get hit in the face with a bit of north and be able to shoot straight back through, doesn't it?
Yeah, that'll be their opportunity to get back across to the right.
Really nice pressure here in front of them.
Yeah, beautiful pressure. And there they go now. So they're going to tack on to some pressure, which I think will lift them.
Yep, looks like they're just about to catch the front edge there. May have gone a tiny bit early there, Don.
Yeah, I think they maybe did.
They're not going to maximise as much of that puff as they could. Maybe 2 boat lengths into that one might have been a little bit nicer for them. But I mean, they're out in front doing well. We can't say too much more, can we?
No. but we've still got a little way to go.
What is that? Run down to the bottom, Jimmy, and then work up to the finish,
Back
isn't
up.
it?
That's it.
Yeah. So this will be the last kite run.
So the Cunningham's here approaching late. Probably still got about 10 seconds left of sailing.
On this tack.
Yeah, so they're just contending
It's a
with...
lay.
It's a lay, yeah.
So just contending with some wash there from the fast ferry. And they'll flop over here, and they've got a nice lay to the top mark here now. So they just have to be smart here and sail the pressure downwind and hold their own.
I think they're about to get a little bit of a root shock as they come into this mark with somebody breathing down their neck pretty hard.
If they can hang on to this lead, Paulie, and get round the bottom mark in front, and if they don't stay between...
So if they round this mark first and nobody passes them, they win, don't they?
They do. It's a simple game. It's a simple game for simple blokes.
Well, that was Steve Bowen's line to me and Ruffy all the time. We're just going to round the first mark first and not let anyone pass us.
Yeah.
And then you win the race.
And then you win the race.
It's that simple.
It's that simple. It's not a race of two halves.
I think they've still maintained it, and we're about to see a little bit of...
Moonin coming in.
Yeah, and you can see there that Nathan actually really put his bow down at him.
Oh, there's contact. There's contact, and they're hooked up.
Nathan's going to claim a protest on his there.
Yeah, look, we'd have to have a look at that back, but it looked like they'd completed their tack to me.
Well, it's all about inside that 3 boat length, so you can't push them above close haul. So that's why Nathan sort of pushed himself. Oh. Well done, Ruff.
Oh, and Ruffy's Gus tacked them around there, which was a bit sneaky.
Ruffy, you watch. Ruffy will just do a spin here.
I think they've got a problem here, boys. We get them on screen. There they are now. So it looks like
they are going to win the most important race, though, to the bar if they hit their rudder.
They've got a problem.
Not much fun for them.
This could make some interesting post-race.
Bit of additional Barkarati, you reckon, Dolly?
Good chance, I think.
And then here we've got the red pumps trying to do red pumps red. Not on screen, sorry, we've got the army on screen. Red pumps red was almost going to do the same thing to the fluid.
And that really opened it up for the Cunninghams. They've bolted now.
Yeah.
And way off in the distance.
Just on screen here, not sure what Wendy's got going on there. I think he was trying to get that shoot around. Just had it pinned to that top deck.
Yeah, that windward sheet's a bit caught up. They've just sorted it out now.
I think from that incident, I wonder if Nathan thinks that he just did a 360 by Gus pushing his bow away then, and then he did a jibe straight away.
Strange one, nonetheless. But as you said, I think there's that rule to do with inside 3 boat lengths.
So the rule is inside 3 boat lengths. If you tack in there, if you push the other person above close hauled, then it's an infringement. But as we saw there, Nathan was reaching in. I don't know if it's changed. I don't read it every time. But that was the way
I don't need to read it anymore.
No, but it seemed like he was bearing a way down into him so that he would get pushed above close haul, which is, we know, he's a very smart, tactical kind of sailor in that way. However, it didn't look like he just ran straight up the back of him to me.
Yeah. You just see there Chris Williams yanking on the main to try and pop those top battens.
Yeah, so he's not pumping that main, he's just trying to get the battens to pop, and what they need to do is pull on a bit of Cunningham there.
Yeah.
It goes now.
Yeah, it does it. Just sometimes with that, you don't just reach down and just give it a pump in the bottom of the boat.
Yeah, because that bit of Cunningham tension's enough to get them pumped.
It's a few. Oh, so we can see on screen, Typhoons put up their protest flag. Interesting. Tell you what though, they're not someone you want to go into a protest room, those guys, would you? They've done a lot of top international sailing, and
we don't live stream the protest room either, so it'd be interesting between the Turners and the Wilmot, wouldn't it?
Wow. Yeah. There's been a few of those battles through the years, I think, hasn't there?
Not with Joe and... Well, Joe was sailing with me, not, but...
Yeah, so We're back on the Cunninghams there now, and they are smoking into the bottom gate.
They've just almost done a copy-paste of their last one, haven't they, Dolly?
Yeah.
They've come down here, they're going to just above the mark so they can take a nice easy lay into that right-hand turn.
Clean drop. Tuck it away.
It's not getting too far ahead of ourselves. They're doing a good job at the moment, the boys. They do have the other guys just breathing down their necks at the moment, though.
Don't you love it when we talk someone up and they deliver?
Dolly, you really put them in the locker on it here, don't you, mate? It's a rarity, Doll.
Yeah, we did some great work at the 18 footers the other day, didn't we, Jimmy?
Absolutely, Lama.
We
Sunk everyone.
we sunk the whole fleet pretty much.
So, it's...
Lucky we didn't start talking about the start boat, or would he be up for a new start boat?
So here we go.
I did say that I thought they'd go quicker in this race, just to let everybody know, because a certain sheet hand wants to get to the bar the quickest. You watch him turn it on up this next one.
He'll be fired up.
Yeah. I mean, it's even just looking behind, and we've got two of the best crews behind them, but they're just doing everything nice and clean and just making it easy.
No mistakes.
The Army just extended a little bit there, which is very unlike those guys. But they're just making
they're in
it
trouble,
look a little-
Paulie.
Well done on the sinking of the Army.
So the typhoon's coming in here as well.
What are you going to say about them?
The
Wow.
curse.
They've
The
already ran
curse.
into someone at the top mark. I don't know how they're going to go. They might have already sunk themselves, and I would have been doing a spin if I was them up the top. Just to cover myself off.
Yeah.
But there is sometimes a weird thing if another boat has to retire because of your infringement, then there's a bit of sportsmanship involved with that sometimes.
Yeah, we're doing a spin up the top wouldn't achieve anything anyway in that case because they've retired from the race. So.
Yeah. So we'll just see how it all goes. That'll be an interesting one that we can possibly talk about next time.
I'm struggling to get a water start done here.
Sarah's just pulling herself in.
She's body dragging behind the boat. They've just got to get away around the mark here.
They haven't quite got Trent back into the boat yet as well. He's doing his best. There we go. He's just jumped in. One of the hardest things you'll ever have to do, pull yourself into a moving boat with the trapeze harness on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rolling, mate, was always the easiest.
If anyone can do it, Trent Barnabas can.
So we're seeing the opposite of what happened last time with people missing the starboard lay.
Yeah. So Sutek you're looking at there with trying to get the white spinnaker away, and then red pumps with the same problem. They've got a spinnaker chute, so it's not such a drama for them.
Yeah, they've got a few more kgs on the sheet there too that they can just keep out.
Big Greggy just swinging it down, and Jay weighs nothing. And they'll just fly in around there.
That was well done from the red pumps, wasn't it? Sutek still managed to get that inside line. A little bit messy there.
Bit of teabagging, body dragging. Capital Brewing the next one round, a little bit scrappy, followed by the Botany Access.
And a little bit of a gap back. So the leaders have, where have they pushed off to? They've all pushed off to that left-hand side again.
Yeah,
haven't
they're just
they?
going to the Bombora, standard procedure. And I'll guarantee Nick won't be letting those guys get an inside advantage on him this time.
Yeah. So there's the Bartley on screen, going down into the bottom mark. A better race for them in this one.
So it's Bartley followed by the Shebang with the yellow spinnaker. They've got a bit on here still.
Just making Alana work hard for it.
Bit of a late drop with a gain, and there's Alana's sister Georgia steering the Outback Marine, giving chase. Powered by Vectron Energy.
With Kenny
Apparently.
Walk on.
Yeah, Kenny Walk. So former Australian Olympic hockey player.
Superstar.
Absolutely great sailor, great hockey player.
Very good sailor. I think that one of the first times I sailed at 16 was with him and Phil Cook. They chucked me in the bow when I was about 16. It's quite an experience.
And you in the bow.
Yeah, I was 16, mate.
Yeah. He was 16 and only weighed 89 kilos then.
Me?
Yeah.
I was still a little fly at 16, mate. I didn't have my growth spurt till 17.
Oh, you were, because I was going through some footage the other day of
I was skinny. I was tiny.
when you were on that between you and the Suitors or whatever, that flying 11 thing, and I'm like, and it said, oh, this Paul McKenzie. I've gone, sure, it's Paul. Like,
Nah, it can't be.
I was 82 kilos till I was 24. Then what happened?
Nicely done. So Nick must have been listening. Maybe he's got the live stream running on the boat.
He's taken the classic line back into this
And
point
he's taken the classic line back, and I'm hoping he's going to get over there and just get a loose cover on the Typhoon so that there's no avenue for them to get a gauge on him.
Jimmy, no, as well. You often do get a few nice little runners in this angle back into this point.
I used to love this point. Like,
and you just, when you get it right, you can almost just ride it all the way in. And if you have a look at the pressure running around this point at the moment, off screen, it's coming to them. It's really funneling down this left-hand side nicely now. I just expect Nick just to extend out here a little bit, slap one in his face, and then keep on going.
He definitely needs to keep them tucked away. They're coming at him.
I'd extend all the way into this point, though. I'd be more than willing to let them get a little bit power forward going into the left.
Well, you're keeping between them and the next mark, but there's been a substantial gain made by the Typhoon.
Well, with this pressure just kicking in, with the big rooster on the sheet, there's a bit of swinging power there.
There is, yeah, plenty of horsepower.
I know from experience he's one of the, in general, he'd be one of the quickest blokes in flat water with a bit of pressure in a 16.
Yeah.
It's those big sausage fingers working. I mean, these guys have got the advantage of being a bit lighter. They can get into that high groove a little bit easier, try and link up the puffs.
Yeah, we're going to see an interesting exchange here between the two boats. You're looking behind, looking from behind at Cunningham's there, and just coming into screen in a moment.
Could be chucking pretty soon, wouldn't you,
You'll
Dole?
see that here's the Typhoon now. So that.
What is Nick's got to? He's got to put the clamps on.
Yeah, and he has now. So Nick's now tacked, and he's going to keep them tucked away, and he needs to do that all the way up to this finish.
Well, I think Nick's a bit more abstract in his thinking sometimes than the other people out there. And, you know, I know from something against people like Nathan and also Lee, sometimes when they're behind in this, they think that you're going to tack in a spot, and they'll try and tack you into knocks and do all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Quite like Nick extended out to the lift that he wanted while still keeping a nice cover. My biggest fear for him is just his boat speed issue. This Typhoon is rocketing through the water.
They're coming at him real quick. And it's a real balance between where he thinks he should go tactically and keeping them tucked away and not letting them get an advantage. To me, Nick's coming into some nice breeze here.
I'd let him go right as far as they want. I'd let him go right. I could be wrong, but I'd let them go that way to the right of screen.
So you're just seeing them tack now on the Cunninghams, and they've tacked onto some really nice pressure. We've just got to see what direction it's going to give them, though.
And this is where the pressure comes in, and trying to stay calm and keeping yourself. You know, you got these blokes that are charging at you 1,000,000 miles an hour. Just stick to your processes. Make sure you keep the boat flat.
Well, that's the most unflat I've seen Cunningham's. Like Alex has had it rock solid, so he's obviously tensing up.
That's what I was just about to say myself. And you know, you start looking under the boom instead of looking at the bow of the boat, trying to keep that trim right and all these kind of things.
Keep your processes exactly the same.
They need to put one in their face here, though, this time.
They've got to go now.
They've got to tack soon.
Keep your communication good too, I think, as well.
There they go. So they're tacking now.
I think they're going
to windward. They won't be putting dirty air on them, but they're, as I've spoken about many times, keeping themselves between the opposition and the next mark.
And this is the thing here. All they do is keep on doing this to them and try and push them out to one side. If you can get them to a ley line and make them follow you in, you've won the race, haven't
you?
They
can't get past. That's right, Paulie.
He's not putting these tight tacks on, but he's linking up his guts still well, Nick. As we said, I think the Typhoon's got a boat speed edge, but they're tactically doing really well.
Sailing really nicely here.
Yeah. There you go, they're back to their flat mode now, Jimmy. Yeah, they can see the finish line.
Great shot looking down on the Cunninghams. And
they look a lot closer. They're a lot closer than they look on screen there, aren't they?
It is, yeah. The camera always lies that.
See, there you go. That one will show you a little bit. But Nick's just put the bow down a little bit just to get himself in a bit more dominant position.
Keep going quick.
And here, they're getting pretty close to lay here, so they'll just come out.
So Typhoon is tacked, you can see. Cunningham's just continuing that little bit further and keeping them tucked away underneath him.
He's just, and when he's timed his tacks, he's still thinking about the gusts that he's going into, not just that classic straight on top.
Yeah,
it's very well done.
It's not a breeze. It's not a breeze cover. It's a tactical cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just FYI, we've got fluid, Imey and red pumps red giving in the main contenders in the chase behind these two boats.
And the Sutek again pushing forward.
Yeah.
Late.
Yeah, once again, Zoe Dransfield bringing the Sutek through the fleet nicely.
So the Cunningham's probably got one tack left here, Jimmy. Hopefully they don't think they've got to do another lap. Seems to be lining up that mark pretty well.
Nope. Don't you hate that when you doubt yourself? How many have we done?
Very well sailed race.
Yeah, I'm really happy for the boys. That's
well, 1-2 finish wins them the day.
Yeah,
equal with the Typhoon, doesn't it?
Boat of the day, and the boys are giving us we're happy signals. They're stoked.
And here comes the Typhoon for second.
There could be some interesting things happen after this race for the Typhoon.
Yeah, so viewers, you can see the red flag fluttering off Brett's trapeze wire there. That's signalling to the race committee that they're going to be lodging a protest, and obviously that's from the top mark incident with Moonan.
That's just their way of getting into the club early.
But what are they going to get out of their protest? They got second. They're not going to get average points.
No.
They're not going to get given a first, are they?
No. No, the only way they can get redress is if they didn't actually finish. So yeah. I think a more likely scenario would be that Moonan will protest for redress.
I think that's going to be the likely scenario.
As they sustain damage that prohibited them from finishing.
And the camera, to use the camera footage in a protest route is quite expensive, isn't it, Jimmy?
Very expensive.
So we've got a nice tight finish here coming up. Red pumps, red. I've missed it. And the Imey coming in from the port side.
So you're looking at the Imey there, and you can see them converging on screen with the red pumps, advantage red pumps, but they're not laying the pin end. So they've got to tack. Fluid also won't lay the pin end.
So it's going to be super tight here with the Imey and the Fluid. The Fluid can get it up and going.
But they're on port tack, and here comes Imey on starboard. They're going to tack around the pin.
Berkey love that one up over Napa.
Oh, look at Berkey's still on the leeward side, hanging out on the wire.
He wouldn't care. That's his year done right there, mate.
I think it was windy, actually.
They made it across the finish line in time, and you can see them just in a bit of bother there, but that doesn't matter anymore.
You're across the line.
You can see the Sutek with Zoe Dransfield crossing the line next. Excellent work.
Very well sailed. Just chipped away through the fleet again, didn't she?
Yeah.
You'd hate to see her get a good start.
Yeah, and great work from the boys.
And then the Botany, a few 13s coming through here. Unfortunately,
red pumps.
Yeah, they're the tail enders of the 13s. Most of the 13s are on their way back to the club, so we didn't see the final result for them. We weren't up here in time. Red pumps over. Next over will be Botany Access.
Red Pump's a race to forget. Most definitely.
Well, they were looking famous early, weren't they, Jimmy? And then just one little stuff up down that run.
Yeah, that was a big error.
And it's a bit disappointing for them. You know, they've done all their training, and those turns are the things that you work on really hard. And just to lay it down, you'd be a little bit annoyed. I'm sure it was Jay's fault.
I'm sure tonight we'll hear all about it, that it was Harris's fault.
I'm sure that somebody got caught in some rope somewhere and it was inevitable.
Altus crossing the line next, followed by Capital Brewing. Capital Brewing crossing there now on screen, and the boat that you can see, we've just switched. Next we've got Musto with John Dransfield. Should sneak across.
Oh, it's going to be tight.
It's going to be tight here. No, I think I'll give it to Musto, fire stopping, then Bartley Construction.
Bartley, yeah, just looking at the fire stopping, the boys watch that back. It looks like they haven't changed gears coming up here.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Very locked up.
Still strapped on.
I thought they looked really underjuiced.
Yep. So, you know, ease some cunnos, ease some bang.
Yeah,
crack a little bit of jib. Just
when you get up to this top end of the course and it starts to get patchy.
Push the board down a little bit.
Yep, just all the little key things.
Take that little step forward.
Yep. Here's Shebang coming.
Yeah, just
up
to
the rear.
tidy up these rest of the fleet. We've got Shebang,
Employment Hero.
Chubbs, Employment Hero, and Southerly.
And then long way
Outback Marine. Sort of
Outback Marines, basically all that are left that we can
there's
see standing.
There's a few stragglers, but that covers sort of good close racing today. Very impressive racing.
Yeah. Very impressive from the Cunninghams. I think that's what I've taken away from today.
Yeah,
They're a boat that's going to be up the front of the fleet, especially in these conditions in times to come.
Yep. No,
Yeah, boat of the day today for my money, and really well sailed from the boys on a day that counted too, right? Because it's 2 heats of the clubby.
Yeah,
lot to play for.
It's huge. So well, there you go. The Camry Cats boat of the day is the Cunningham. So we'll run with that for this week's story as well. So
I think I picked them too, didn't I, Bully, at one point?
Oh, I'll have to watch it back.
I talked them up and they didn't.
Chits can edit it for you.
I've eased up on the commentator's curse.
So thank you everyone for tuning in and watching Heats 8 and 9 of the Club Championship here at the mighty Manly 16-foot Skiff Club. On the 25th of February, exactly 100 years, this club's been in existence supporting this wonderful class and many other junior classes, which has been great. Please feel to tune in on the 18th of the 3rd or 18th of March for the final heat of the Club Championship, and we look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, make sure you follow Sail Media on social media platforms to stay up to date with what else we're up to. We've got the 18s on tomorrow, and then the JJs start on the Friday of next week. So
looking forward to that, Jimmy.
There's Mighty Manly Cove, so a nice week of sailing for us. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to hopefully seeing most of you back at the club tonight for the festivities. But for those who are tuning in around Australia, around the world, thank you, and look forward to seeing you on the 18th of March. Paulie, Dolly, thanks very much for helping out today.
Thanks for having us, Jimmy.
To all the boys down the back, thanks, legends. You guys always pull out all stops and make it feel like the viewers are in the bottom of the boats with what's going on. So thank you. And I guess that's about it. And this has been a Sail Media production for the Manly 16-foot Skiff Sailing Club. Thank you.
Bye-bye.